just there. Hello. Hi, everyone. I'll go ahead and do my final checks before starting the stream here. Okay. Good to see you, everyone. Today we're going to hang out. We're going to sculpt some monsters, and I'm going to rig these up so that if there's anyone out there who is making their own game, you can use this monster for your own game. So that's what I'll be working on today. We can just chat, have a laugh, talk about whatever you guys want here. So I'll do a monster that's open for everyone to use, and then I'll do a second one that's just for the Patreon supporters. I like this wax here. I'll be using Sculptress, and let me go ahead and put a label on the screen here. And if at any point my music volume is too loud, please do let me know so I can make adjustments there. So testing 1, 2 on the audio. Okay. Hey! Good to see you. Steven, good to see you. Takers for President 2024. Your voice is pretty quiet compared to the music. Thank you very much. I've been recording a couple of different things using OBS, so my settings get moved around a little bit here. How's that? Is that better? Testing 1, 2. Mic audio. 1, 2, 3. Okay. How's the new job? How are things going? I hope the new job is awesome. You've started already, right? Testing 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. All right. So if there's anyone out there that does want to try this software, it's called Sculptress. It's made by the people that make ZBrush, but this is like an older, no longer supported version. It's pretty old, but it's free. You can still find it online. So I have symmetry turned off. I'll go ahead and turn that back on now. Right, I've got 2 keyboards here. I have a feeling I might confuse that a little bit. So let's go ahead and go to symmetry. And I just want to put a little bit of text on screen. If you'll just give me a moment here. I just want to make it clear what I'm working on is modeling a 3D monster that you guys will be able to use. So if you use Unity or Unreal, you'll be able to use it. Okay, text, label, working. Okay, text is how about sculpting? Okay, let's go ahead and hit OK there. And then let's sort of, how can I put that on the screen that doesn't get in the way? 3D monster. And let's go ahead and, can we center justify that? Alignment, center. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Hey, Super Smash, good to see you. You're in the 3rd week already. Wow, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that things are better. You have a class of freshmen, not nearly as bad. Let's see. Oh man, I can't even remember being a freshman. That was such a long time ago. I distinctly remember a photograph from when my friends and I all started high school. And I remember seeing that photograph years later and thinking, like, man, we were small. We were small people. What are you up to, Super Smash? What games are you playing right now? Hey, Toons, how's it going? Good to see you. So, I'm using a Wacom tablet. This is an older model. It's an Intuos 4. I did not just look at the back to make sure I got the model name right. The reason why I like this one, I have other Wacom drawing tablets that are better and more, I paid more money for because they have more features. This one has the control wheel, and I've got another drawing tablet that has the screen built in, which is nice, but it doesn't have the wheel. And you can see as I turn the wheel here, I can zoom in and out, but you can also use it for things like your brush size as well. These are not that expensive. You can often find them on Facebook Marketplace for pretty cheap. if you don't mind taking a risk of getting stabbed by the seller on Facebook Marketplace. So, yeah. What I'm working on is a 3D model for a monster, and it'll be free, so I'll just host the file when this is done. And if there's anyone out there that's making a game and happens to need a monster, then I will share it so that you guys can use it. I'll be doing 2 monsters today. This one is free for everyone, and the other one will be for my Patreon supporters. So when you start your design, it's important to consider how you're going to rig it. If you are feeling like a big, brave, strong rigger, then you can make any design that you want. But if you don't want to spend like 50 hours rigging just on the bones, then it's good to consider ahead of time what appendages your creatures will have. This one's going to be humanoid, and I'm going to use Mixamo to rig the model at the end of the day. So that's an auto rigger, and it will allow me to very quickly rig this up. So, and for people that have been hanging out with me for years now, I mean, I normally do these sculpts for Silver Falls creatures, and that's always so fun. Silver Falls is my game series where I get to just make some really cool cryptids. Oh, my dog is howling for some reason. He doesn't normally sound like that. So, I'm just gonna make like a weird, creepy, hey, Rubber Finger, hi, thanks for coming to hang out. I'm just kind of like, so when you create stuff, it's easy to go into autopilot. Like, if you think of your favorite game that you play, like for me, it would be Smash Bros, right? You have an autopilot mode. So it's like that when you create anything, whether you're writing, you're 3D sculpting, you're drawing. If you are not putting in the active decision to not go on autopilot, you generally will typically just go on autopilot. And then that results in, if you're not careful, a lot of your work will just look pretty samey, because you're drawing your creative process through basically your muscle memory from the stuff that you've done for years and years. And for example, if you do that in Smash, like it's fine to do that in Smash, right? To play on autopilot until you go up against someone who's very good. And if you play on autopilot, you get your butt kicked a little bit. And it's like that when you're creating as well. So as an artist, for me, it's important to, if I'm in a situation where I just need to get a ton of work done very fast, I'm gonna go ahead and save this. I haven't even saved it yet. So if I'm in a situation where I just need to get a ton of work done, then I sometimes will just go on autopilot just to get a bunch of work done. But there are times when, if you have the time, if you have the energy to actively take yourself off autopilot, and that gives you the ability to work more expressively, and you can come up with more ideas that you can focus on more actively. Okay. That's just the whole way meta works for Smash. Hey, Ramblin', hey, good to see you, good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out. So today I'm making a monster, and it's going to be free. I'm going to rig this up, and it'll be free, so for anyone that's making a game out there, they just happen to need a monster, this will be free for you to use. I'll be using Mixamo Fuse so that, Mixamo Auto Rigger, so if you want to get your animations from there, they've got a huge library, and they are free. Okay, so I've got my legs here. What I'm going to do is use the grab tool once I, what sort of feet? You guys in the chat let me know, do you want peg feet? Do you want big ol' honkin' duck feet? Those weird clubbed feet that look like the toes didn't form correctly? You let me know in the chat what sort of feet you want. Now, I'm kind of thinking asymmetry on the arms here. I would like the arms to just be real funky. I kind of want it to feel like the guy, this creature, his organs sort of burst and then another creature came out of him. That's what I'd like to see here. So I'm splitting my attention between the chat Oh, one duck foot and one goat hoof. Okay, cool. I like that. Cool, Steven. We're gonna do that. All right. So, what sort of head do you want this? So, I don't know. Somebody in the chat. What sort of? Let's see. The head should be inspired by some kind of animal, right? So, what kind of animal do you think the head should be here? What should it be inspired by? Okay, so here I've sort of set out. I kind of want to, yeah, I want it to feel like some creature came out of this thing's chest. Oh yeah, alligator head. Okay, yeah, okay, let's go with an alligator head. And that is how you get the Mixamo Auto Rigger to hate your guts. That's going to be pretty funny to see how that turns out. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get the crease tool. Oh, so I recently announced the first details for Grandpa's Playing Banjo in Space. So I know that I was working games earlier in the year, and I put them on hold while I just focus on physical training for a little bit. I have developed a little bit of a dad bod as I've just been sitting in my office working. And unfortunately, to maintain my work hours, I have to take in calories. That's just how it is. So I have to eat, and I have not been going out hiking as much. So I put on a dad bod. So I'm focusing on physical training. But that means that it's really tough for me to work on projects that require a huge amount of focus for long periods of time. My brain just won't let me. So I'm working on things like Grandpa's Playing Banjo in Space, because it's not a technically demanding project for me. I can work on that game. So that means that I can still do physical training. I can do heaps of that throughout the week, and I can work on Grandpa's Playing Banjo in Space. But I've tried working on my other games, and they're all highly structured and organized. You know, like Galaxy, Drifter, and Gorgeous Sword, Long Hard Justice. That is stuff that it's demanding from a development standpoint, and my brain won't let me work on those games and do my physical training at the same time. The guy up here, you stay alive skill issue. What's your, okay, so when you don't eat to sort of maintain your power level, what do you do? Is that sort of like a, Gino like sort of, it's like a chi energy, you're gathering your chi and then you don't have to eat as much? That could be a skill that I should learn. Alright, we want an alligator head, right? Okay, hold on. And do you guys want big arms, or? Somebody in the chat say if you want big arms or small arms. So again, if you're just hopping on, we are making a monster that I'm going to rig up and make it free to anyone to use in their games. Okay. Man, then I have to do the jaw and everything. You certainly picked a head shape. This isn't, did you say crocodile or alligator? Alligator, okay. Alligators, does anyone in the chat know the exact difference off the top of their head? Alligators' eyes are off to the side, crocodiles are on top. Is that right? I would think Blender would be the favorite tool to use. You know, I've tried Blender, and I don't know what it is about it. For some reason, it doesn't click with me. I know it's a great tool. I know a lot of people use it. But for sculpting, I really like Sculptress. I don't know what I've done. I must have told this to fill the whole screen. Okay, alright. Go home, you've had enough text box. Yeah, what I like most about Sculptress is that because it's kind of old, it doesn't have a ton of features, and so it also doesn't get in your way as well. I tend to use software that doesn't slow me down and get in my way. I have used Blender in the past, but it has so much going on that it did get in my way a little bit. And I'm always working on projects, and in order to use something like Blender, you have to spend time learning it. I can tell that if I had time to spend learning Blender, I would be able to use it full time for my projects, but I don't have time to learn it and then adjust my workflow to take that into account. So in general, I use Sculptress to sculpt organic stuff, and I use Maya to do non-organic modeling. Gina's 8. I meditate, take a multivitamin, smoke some meth, light some scented candles, and I'm rejuvenated. Now, what's important is the scent of the candle. Which one are you? Because if it's like a sandalwood or like an apple cinnamon, it's totally different, you know, from something like a forest pine. And those are not even comparable. Like the meta between those candles, you know, that's like comparing D tier to S tier, you know. Oh, the background music is too loud. Thank you for letting me know. Let me go ahead and fix that. Is that... How's that? Where... I'm not sure where that is now. Anyway. Oh, you know what? I think I pushed a button that maxed out the volume on that. Thanks for letting me know. Sorry about that. Here's the... You know what's really... You know what kind of annoys me about software? Especially stuff that we have to use these days where it's like, oh man, look how advanced and great the software is there are so many hotkeys that you just don't know what the hotkey does, and you accidentally push a button and then your workflow is jacked up. Has that ever happened to anyone in the comments? That happens to me often when I'm composing and mixing down music. So I use Studio One. This is not what crocodiles look like. I don't know what the deal is here. But I use Studio One, and I've been using that for years, and sometimes I'll just accidentally push a button and then my workflow is so jacked up, and then it takes me like a good 5 minutes to figure out what just happened. Yeah, thanks, Rambo. So I have two keyboards here, one for working on the sculpt and the one for the stream, and I pushed the one for the stream, and I guess I pushed the hotkey that maxed out the music volume there. So it's important when you're doing a sculpt like this, you gotta keep an eye out for when you have pinch like that. So I will use the reduce brush here. I'll use that in combination with smoothing so I can reduce that, so you can see it sort of fixes that out. And then I'll use the smooth tool a little bit. Right now we're at 17,000 triangles. If you're on PlayStation 5, you have unlimited polygons, or so I've been told. I don't know the validity of those claims, though. This is not a good... Look, I said it's going to be alligator-inspired. I didn't say it was literally going to be an alligator. I keep using the wrong keyboard, don't I? You used Lightwave. Hey, right here, Lightwave. So when I was a kid, and I went to, was it Barnes and Noble? I think I'm thinking of Barnes and Noble. I saw a magazine for 3D modeling. I must have been maybe, I'm thinking of the games I was playing at the time. I was playing Resident Evil 3, so this had to have been the late 90s. So it was in the late 90s. I went to a Barnes and Noble. I saw a magazine that was about 3D modeling, and I bought the magazine, and it came with a CD with Lightwave. I can't remember which version. I used the heck out of that, man. I remember I drew a Jill Valentine on paper, I scanned it, I colored it in a really old version of Photoshop, and then I made a background in Lightwave, and I put my Jill drawing on there, and it was like, it made me feel like, oh, I could be a real artist. Look at my cool background. And obviously it was like the ugliest. I was trying to do like a street background, like from Resident Evil 3. Whew, it was rough, but you know what? It was so much fun. It was really exciting. And I have future games where I want to style match games from the early 2000s. So I've downloaded an old version of Lightwave, and I'm going to use Lightwave to make the graphics for that. You see the gator is forming. That's right. Amiga 1200. I just sold my 1200. I had a functioning Amiga 1200. I wasn't using it, and so I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I sold it. And you guys will be happy to know that I didn't get stabbed during the transaction, which is cool. Let's go Pi. Hey, thanks for coming. Good to see you. I started working on my first game, and my scope is naturally way too big, but I'm staying motivated to make it. That's awesome. Hey, that's great. Tell me more about the game. I've made progress, but was wondering your thoughts on large, big first projects. I would say that a large, big first project, you naturally, once you start discovering what you can do to make parts of your game into something that functions, you're naturally going to want to create more and more and more. So that's natural. So telling someone, oh, just start with a small project, you can tell someone that, but it's not going to happen. It's just exciting once you start making games. So it's up to you as an individual to identify where your skill gaps are. And I think early on, I say that you should stick to small projects, but I know that doesn't work out because of how exciting the process is. So I say my advice is don't be discouraged if you hit a point where you realize you cannot bring your vision into reality. My advice is just don't be discouraged by that. My advice is to identify your skill gaps and then try to fix those skill gaps. So if you want to make this huge, big thing and you realize I have no idea how to do that, what am I supposed to do to make that happen? Then learn more, experiment more, and don't be discouraged because it's very unlikely that your first few games will reach completion. That's just how it is. It takes a lot of training for you personally. It takes a lot of learning. So you will find the things that you are not capable of doing, and then you will be able to slowly improve those skills and work on it. And eventually you will bring a project to completion. So once you have your first few projects where you realize, oh man, I don't actually know how to do these things, and then you improve your skills, eventually you'll understand the size of the project that you can make. So I would say don't stress too much about it and just focus on learning and improving your skills. Very concept of a gator. That's how I've been feeling. It's been great learning experience developing systems within the project and been okay with reducing the scope. That's awesome. You're making a fishing RPG. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like something I would like. What console will you put these on? This is, okay. So of course we're gonna make that vascular, right? So we need to make it look like he's coming out of there. So we're gonna have, I think we're gonna have like arms down here and then arms up here as well. Okay, so what we want to do now is use the grab tool. So when we're sculpting here, we have first to define our shape, which is the shape of the creature. Oh no, I was doing that. Okay. Once we have the shape, we can start defining the form, which will be the muscularity, the bones, and all the internal structures. And if you're just checking in, thanks for coming to hang out. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. I'm making a monster that I will make free, so that if you're working on a game, you just happen to need a monster for something, this will be free for everyone to use. Once I'm finished with this one today, I'm doing 2 sculpts today. I will do a second monster that's just for the Patreon supporters. Okay. So I like to once I make some visual elements, I take a step back and then I look at the scale of the visual elements. So earlier in the chat, Steven said that he wanted 1 duck foot, 1 goat foot. So I'm going to do that later because I will have to turn off symmetry for that. So we want to make it look like this central part is bursting out of the body. So let's go ahead and use the grab tool and let's just move that out a little bit. You want to do your symmetrical elements first, and then once you are fairly confident that your elements are where they should be, then you can disable symmetry and you can work on asymmetrical aspects. Without having to put too much thought into it, I've been working in Unity and focused on PC, but using the URP. So hopefully later on I can put it on other platforms. Awesome. Hey, Rubber Finger. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming to hang out. Take care. See ya. Hey, Sean Starr. Good to see you, man. How are you? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's get some arms on this fella here. I've got a little bit of pinch in here. All right, there we go. Just want some separation. We're gonna simplify that, and then we're going to smoothen that because I can see I've got some pinch, and my polygons are getting jacked up in there. Yeah, good to hear from you, Sean. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, I'm doing well. Right now, I've slowed down on development on my games just a little bit as I need to focus on some physical training to get some health back. I need to get back in shape. I need to get some muscle mass back in. I'm pretty big on archery, and I haven't been able to shoot my proper bows lately. I've been shooting this very low quality wimpy bow because I haven't been doing my physical training, and I would like to get back to shooting my proper bows now. So I really enjoy climbing, biking, and I haven't been doing any of that stuff because I've just been working on games. So we're gonna T-post this guy. This is the thing. This always happens to me. Is my sculpts when I'm doing monsters? They always turn out adorable, like in the middle of the sculpt, and then it's so distracting because to me, if I stopped there, it's like, all right, you put that guy in like a monster raising sim. He's pretty cute. Uh, I like to put a little knob here to identify the elbow. So in the chat, somebody say if you want big arms, if you want this boy to have big arms or little arms. So we need to make this grotesque, actually. We need to make it look like he's bursting out of the bottom part of the body. Right now it's adorable, but we will fix that. Uh-oh. Ah. I've done something here. Let's go ahead and fix that up. There we go. And I'm going to just have faith that the auto rigger will understand what we want out of this character. So right now it looks like a little dress, right? So we're going to have to make it look less like a dress. So if you're just checking in on making a 3D monster, I'll be rigging this up today and I will make this free. So if you're working on a game and you need just a monster, then you can use this one for free. I'll be doing this one, and then later in the stream I'll be doing a second monster just for the Patreon supporters. Big ol' arms. Okay, we're doing it. Big ol' arms, says Ginoze. Donovan Kingle. Hey, thanks for coming to hang out. So, obviously I make games, but I consider myself a gamer before I consider myself a developer. And I can never forget how cool it was seeing the process. Like when I was a kid growing up, I was so fascinated by the idea of making games. When we saw the announcement for Pokemon X and Y, they showed like 1.5 seconds of Maya, and they showed a Pokemon being modeled in there. And I remember thinking, like, that's the coolest 1.5 seconds I've ever seen in any reveal trailer, was just seeing a little bit of the process. And so I think it's so neat being able to share this, because this way I get to hang out with you guys, and then if you want to say something, if you want to contribute something to the idea, then I can chuck it in there, and then it's just a cool way to do this process, because this is something that normally, you know, in the past, developers would be sitting in a room somewhere and they're sort of sectioned off from, you know, the public, and it's, you have to create, make this. And my perspective on it is, man, why not make it fun? Like, the gamers are such a big part of the game process and the game industry. Why not include the gamers a bit, you know, at least to some extent in the process of that stuff being made, you know? So here we go. I want it to look like the flesh is dripping down like that. There we go. And Ginoze said we want big ol' lanky arms. Thanks for the feedback. Have to go to bed as well. Look forward to watching more of your content. Hey, Let's Go Pie, thanks. It's great to hear from you. If you want to go to the Discord and hang out there, share your progress on your games. You can ask me questions if you have any advice on games as well. Take care. We'll see you. All right. I'm kind of thinking toothpick up top, big honkin' forearms, like a Popeye situation. And if you guys trust me, please trust me and have faith in me that he won't be adorable. He will be a big manly scary monster. You'll see. You'll see. Okay, so we're gonna do a duck, one duck foot, one goat foot. In terms of arms, all right, in the comment section, somebody say what sort of fingers or arms you want on this guy, right? What do you want here? Do you want one of them stabby claws? Do you want like jacked up fingers? We got to make sure this is T-posed properly though. Okay. And once we get that detailed, it won't be adorable. I promise you it will not be adorable when it's done. Okay, so we need to now... I just got to get this guy to not be so cute. Down for sharp fingers, okay. Anyone else? Anyone else have requests for what sort of fingers you'd like to see on this boy? Good for grabbing. Okay, so... it's going to get some bones in there. If you're in the comment section, if there's any design elements you want to see on this guy, just let me know. See, I used the wrong keyboard again. I got to get used to that. Can you hear the music at all, or have I turned that down too far? All right, so overhead, not so good. Let's go ahead and grab this. So yeah, if you want to do 3D modeling or 3D sculpting, Sculptress is free. I really like it. People have mentioned you can use Blender. I've tried Blender, but the interface it has a high learning curve. Whereas this, you can pick this right up and use it straight away. It's so easy to use. Smoothing that out. Okay. Edwin, is this a design by chat livestream? Partly, yeah, actually. Good to see you, Edwin. Thanks for coming to hang out. So I'm creating this monster for use for anyone who's making a game and they happen to need a monster. I'll make this free. So this is, and it's just a fun way to hang out with you guys as well. But if you want to say anything in the chat and you want to see any design elements on them, say it, and then I'll try to include it. You know, we're just here to have fun, basically. We're just here to have fun and hang out. I have to trust. There's always a moment when you're creating anything at all. I think there's always a moment where you kind of doubt yourself for a split second, and that's so normal. You know, I think it's like a survival instinct to make sure that you don't, you know, make mistakes when you're cave diving, sort of thing. Sometimes I just doubt myself for a split second that I won't be able to make something not adorable. When I'm doing these sculpts, obviously it's just, there's certain parts as you're creating it where it just looks cute. Sometimes I doubt myself and I think, this thing's gonna turn out cute. There's no way I can fix it. But you know what? You've got to have faith in yourself. You got to believe that you can make something not adorable. At the roof of the mouth there. So alligators, here's the thing. I could go online and I could get a reference image of alligators, but I think it's funnier if I don't. And I try to remember what they look like off the top of my head. I think that's funnier, so that's what I'm going to do. That's so cute. Oh no. Oh no, guys. Is this the day where my fears come true and I can't make something not be adorable? No. I can't afford to doubt myself. I have to believe. I gotta do what Parappa said. Do you guys know what Parappa says? Because you've got to do what? You gotta believe. If I ever run for president, that's gonna be my catchphrase. Though I think you're gonna need Sony's permission probably for that. Okay, so I just want to define the jawline here. I might try and give him sad mouth and then see if that helps with the scare factor at all. I'm gonna put some Sharpie teeth in there as well. No, it's getting cuter. What am I doing? Oh no. Guys, it's getting cuter. It's looking pretty petable. Thanks, good cat. Look, sometimes in life you just have to accept what happens, and I think, if I'm not careful here, I think this is going to be pretty cute. Okay. So let's go ahead and give him... Okay. I'm certain once we get an eyeball on this guy, you know, it'll make sense, it'll be scarier. Oh no, it's cute! What have I done? I'm going to guess that alligators have their eyeballs on the side, crocodiles have eyeballs on top. Chinose, why did you pick alligator? You picked the animal with which I have the least spiritual connection with. That's basically what you've done. This is the animal that I've spent the least amount of time with, alligator. Okay. Obviously not today or anytime soon, but could you create a xenomorph human synthetic hybrid model from the Alien movie someday? Oh, that would be so much fun. I would really like to do that, and I like that suggestion. Like a ton of other people, I'm a huge fan of 80s monsters, especially the Alien stuff. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd love to do that. But do you want it like accurate one-to-one to the movies sort of thing? Also, Edwin, are you Ridley Scott and you're trying to get free labor out of me to make a model for the next Alien movie? Because if you are secretly Ridley Scott, the rules are that if someone asks you if you're Ridley Scott, you have to answer honestly. And you have to reveal yourself as Ridley Scott. It's like when someone asks if you're a cop, like the cop supposedly legally has to say he's a cop. Are you Ridley Scott? And if so, yeah, I'll work with you, man. I'll work on an Alien movie. All right. Please don't be adorable. Please don't be adorable. Let's stick an eyeball in that socket and hope that it doesn't look adorable. Okay. A new sphere. Okay. Let's go ahead and scale this down. Let's go ahead and grab this guy. That's fine. The lack of reference means it's going to be even more surreal, working off what you think your memory of it. That's what I prefer, really. I think that results in more fun in just trying to remember what it is. Does anyone here watch Drawfee? I'm a big Drawfee fan. And my one of my favorite types of videos they make is when they just try to remember something and they draw it from memory and they just get it so wrong in the best way possible. All right, so we're just gonna stick that little eyeball in there. Okay, okay, we need to decutify this guy. So his snoot. No, I just saw a tweet that stated Sigourney Weaver on the chances of returning as Ellen Ripley in a new Alien movie. I would consider it, but Ripley has earned her rest. Look, I'm a huge Sigourney Weaver fan. I'm a huge Ripley fan, but I mean, come on, right? She's done all the work. She's done the character. The character's been killed off twice now. I mean, come on, let her rest. You know, she's done the hard work. Guys, whoa, 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 whoa. That's pretty alligator-like, isn't it? Rock on. Rock on. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. Now we need a sorry, I just took a step back. This thing is so cute right now. All right, let's go ahead and look, we're gonna have to fix it now. Okay. My bad. I didn't mean for it to turn out adorable. Let's go ahead. And if you're just checking in, I'm making this monster. It's going to be a free 3D model, so if you're working on a game and you just need a monster, I'll do this free. And look, if people like these, I'll do these regularly so that, you know, people who are working on games, if they just need more and more monsters and whatnot, look, come hang out, subscribe, hang out on chat with me. You can make requests, and then I'll just make these free so that people can use them and it can help with their games. I know that when I was starting out and I didn't have the experience or the skill set to make these, it was so frustrating just thinking like, man, if I only had a couple more monsters, you know, I could make this game work. And I would go and buy assets, and then it would just be kind of sucky, you know, when you see the assets that you bought, they're used in someone else's game, and it just doesn't feel that good. You know what I mean? And I'm at a point where doing this sort of work it's not difficult for me to do. It's not that time consuming for me to do because I've done it so much. And now it's something that I can just have fun with, and I can genuinely just hang out with you guys and have fun and chat, because my Silver Falls games, I've been making those for years. And it was a couple of years ago where I just started on a whim. I thought, oh, it'll be fun to just chat with people while I'm making my monsters. But now it's become sort of like this sort of it's more fun. Like now it's not that fun just sitting down and doing a creature design if I'm in my office. It's more fun hanging out on chat and just, you know, because that way you often hear from people who are fans of the same kind of horror monster stuff. So I'm just defining some of his muscularity now. I want to define his tendons and a sense of expression when it comes to the bones underneath the skin. Let's see here. There we go. Something, a little something like that. And I replied my continuation idea to it that included the whole alien human synthetic hybrid today. Nice, nice. Look, if there's like I've seen like all of those discarded, unused, you know, alien movie ideas. I'm a massive Alien fan. I usually on Halloween I'll watch Alien, usually basically every year. I'll watch Alien, I'll watch Halloween. What other Halloween movies? What Halloween movies do you guys watch? I have a couple staple ones that I'll watch, and then sometimes I'll just try and find a new one, or I'll cycle through some other stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and get him skinny now. So as a rule of thumb, if you want to create a design that's kind of upsetting or creepy, then having something that's skinny or gaunt tends to be a visual design language shortcut to make something look creepy and uncomfortable, is make it just gaunt and skinny. That's why the idea of Slender Man works so well, is that, you know, something shouldn't be that skinny, something shouldn't be that gaunt. So as I'm bringing this in, it's starting to become less adorable, which is part of the process I use to make something not look cute, because they often just turn out cute. Okay. So I want to express a sense of bone underneath this, and I want it to feel like there's bones coming off the rib cage here. Okay, there we go. And something, a little something like that. So from an optimization standpoint, when I optimize my models, you have to remove polygons by simplifying the geometry. Generally, the best place to remove those is the back, because you don't see the back of the enemies that much. I'll take polygons away from like the feet. How do I make this not look like a dress? Every year I manage Satan's Little Helper. That's alligator crab in a tutu. Yeah. Don't worry, we'll fix it. That's going to be flesh. It'll be flesh, don't worry. Santa's Little Helper, Tombs of the Blind Dead. I don't know what that is, but that sounds cool. Sledgehammer, Demonic Toys, and Doom. Whoa, I haven't heard of those. I'm gonna look. Hey, would you put that in the Discord so I can look those up? You know what I like better than a good horror movie is a bad horror movie. Something about it, man. I don't know what's up with the horror genre. I don't know why the bad movies are just as good as the good ones. That's weird, right? It's like, if it's a good movie, it's like, okay, yeah, that was nice. But a bad horror movie, you and your buds, just enjoying a bad horror movie, there's something about it. I don't know what it is. At some point during October, I'll watch, you increase the amount of horror movies you watch in October, but I save Alien and Halloween, I save that for Halloween Day. So I'm going to use the inflate tool, but what I'm actually going to do is hold the shift button, and that is going to actually do the opposite of inflate, which is deflate. And there we go. Then I'm going to use the grab tool. So once we get this to look fleshy, we'll have like, so you want to have it to have separation here because you want it to feel like it's bursting out of there. But you will have all the tendons and sinewy stuff here, which I will do now. Okay, so we've sort of deflated that stuff a little bit. And again, if you guys want to try using the software, it's free. Just search Sculptress, download. It's discontinued. It's made by the people who make ZBrush. I like it because it's not hugely feature rich, which means it doesn't get in your way and you get to focus on just creating something. It's pretty simple. It's quite outdated, but I really like using it. I tend to use tools that don't get in my way, that let me do the work, and that don't do too much for me. Okay, so let's go ahead and... Can you hear the music? Not at all. It's because horror, when done poorly, is hilarious all the same. Yeah. Has anyone in the chat watched Lights Out? Who is... Let's just look that up. We're looking it up. A Lights Out director. Who directed it? David F. Sandberg. Lights Out. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Oh, this is a fun movie. IMDb gives it a 6.3. I give IMDb as a service a 6.3. So there you go. They have not judged this movie correctly. This is from the short. So Lights Out is based on a short. That's from the short. And this is from the film. What a fun movie. I recommend it if you have a chance. I don't know if it's on Netflix or Hulu or anything like that. If you have a chance, that's such a fun movie. Can't hear any music. Ah, okay, then I've turned it like massively down. Thanks. How's that? Can you hear any music now? I can't tell from my end. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to start building up a sense of musculature and sinew, and then we're going to make it as vascular as we can. We're just going to make it real uncomfortable to look at here. So here we are. We're at this point here. Okay, and asymmetry is important when it comes to creating a design. If you want something to be visually off-putting and upsetting, asymmetry is extremely important as well. Now, I normally use, when I'm doing these sculpts, because I need to paint them afterwards, I normally use a different workstation. That one has a Cintiq, I think like a 23-inch drawing monitor that I use on that. And that has my database of flesh and skin and all those materials that I use for my creature builds. So I don't think I have it on this computer, but I will see. Oh yeah, I've seen it. I enjoy it, but the issue I had is that it was quite clearly a short stretched into a feature. I didn't even know it was a short that was turned into a feature. But I think that's going to happen if anything is a short that's turned into a feature-length film. I feel like unless you're extremely careful with what you're doing, I think there's a very strong chance you're just going to end up like that, you know? Okay. All right, so we want this to look real fleshy, real muscly. Okay, that's looking good. I'm getting some pinch in there, so I do need to be careful not to ruin that. Okay, there we go. And I want it to look like there's tendons in there, you know, some muscles and some tendons. Okay, here we go. We'll smoothen that out. We'll fix that. Don't worry about that. It'll be just fine. Okay, and when this is done, I'll post the video with the download link. So if you want a creature for your game, you can use this guy, and he'll be free. He'll be rigged up. He'll be a humanoid. So you can use humanoid animations for him. So I'm going to just start making it look sinewy and muscly in here. Let's go ahead and do that now. You want a terrible movie that's fantastic to watch? Wish Upon. Oh, I've seen reviews of that. That looks rough. But is it fun, though? Is it fun to watch? Super Smash, have you played the Castlevania games on DS? Super Smash, you know that I've played the Castlevania games on DS. Those are some of my favorite DS games. I've played the heck out of those. Order of Ecclesia, I'm going to die on this hill. Order of Ecclesia, mankind did not deserve a game that beautiful. I'm just saying it there. Portrait of Ruin, brilliant, one of my favorite Castlevanias. If I say Portrait of Ruin, I can hear that music in my head. You shouldn't have even brought it up, because now I'm not going to shut up about Castlevania. You know that dun 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 dun. Oh God, that music is catchy. I think, yeah. And you know what? Like, the sales numbers for Order of Ecclesia were so low. It is ridiculous. Like, the marketing for Order of Ecclesia was so weak. So few copies of that game sold for what the game was. And that's just a highly refined, gorgeous Metroidvania, and the world ignored it because they were too busy, you know, with whatever other games they were playing with at the time. The world did not deserve Order of Ecclesia. Order of Ecclesia is too beautiful for this world, and I will die on that hill. Sean Star, I miss you making these kinds of videos on your sharing with this games you're working on developing. That's why I don't watch certain videos, because we all have our own purposes. Hey, that's cool. Thanks for letting me know, man. I appreciate that. I'll make more of these. The reason why I haven't been live streaming as much is I've been focusing on physical training for the past month or so. And before that, like, I was working myself into the ground. I was just putting in too many hours. I was trying to focus on productivity, getting my games done. And I was so just focused on that, and it was just taking up all my energy, just making the games, and I didn't have any energy left for doing the live streaming and hanging out. But I've dialed back the development a little bit, and I've adjusted my projects. So I'm working on projects that are easier for me to work on, that are less demanding, so that I can do physical training for a little while. And that means that I can then spend some energy hanging out with you guys on the live streams, because like it does take energy to do these live streams. You have to maintain a certain level of energy, and then you have to put in the effort to still do the work on this stuff and hang out with you guys, like paying attention to the chat. There's all the technical aspects to it. Let's see here. Yeah, that's starting to... Okay, what do you guys think of that? That's starting to look a little bit more like something. Cool, 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 cool. Let's get this sinewy. Order of Ecclesia, absolute goat. That's if I want to go back and play DS, if I grab like one of my DSs, usually that's the game that I'll pop in, like even just to start from the beginning. Whew, I'll go for Order of Ecclesia. Sometimes I'll do a bit of Portrait of Ruin. I I'm I'm such a sucker for multi-character platformers. I love the asymmetry of Jonathan and Charlotte having different abilities in Portrait of Ruin. I just love that. Also, I like spamming switching the characters. So you go Charlotte, Jonathan, Charlotte, Jonathan, Charlotte, Jonathan. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about. Spamming the voice clips. It's the same thing as like when you're selecting your character in Smash, and your friend can't make up his mind, so you just keep unselecting and reselecting your character. So like you got Mr. Game & Watch, and you go Mr. Gaiman, Mr. Gaiman. You know what I'm talking about. Uh, oh man, how do you spell? Hey, Tim Allen, great to see you, man. Good to see you. Uh, one onameos. Oh man, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Onameos, one meos, onemius. Uh, really like your Concord video. You're a real one for that. Hey, I appreciate that. I really I'm glad to hear from you. Look, I'm just a normal dude, and I really enjoy playing games. Just like everyone else, I'm just the same as everyone else. But I have experience working in industry level, working alongside professionals, and I don't like having to be critical of other people. But if you do not stand up for your industry, then people will destroy your industry. I've worked in other industries where I was younger and I was working with teams and I lacked the experience to really speak up and to bring to light issues that very clearly were going to destroy the industry and destroy the culture of what was going on there. But I'm older and more experienced. I'm at a point where I can see where things are headed if something is going really downhill really fast. And so I only speak up. I'm not doing it for attention. I just want to bring attention to certain issues that I think are important. And that's why I do it. You know, there's always opportunities to, keep making videos on it. You'll get more views and more engagement. But for me, it's not about that. It's about protecting your industry. And it's not just an industry. Like, making games is a form of art. It's extremely important for people, you know? And to see it in a situation where if we don't do something, then this is an industry that will be destroyed. It's going to be poisoned, and it won't be the gaming industry that we like. It's going to become something that is unpleasant, and the golden age of that industry will be over. So it's important for us to handle these issues in a mature way, but make sure that we do not allow what are basically radicalized extremists from hijacking and destroying something that is important. And so I've seen other topics that I would like to discuss. I will put the suit back on, but I don't wear a suit and tie and say, hey, pay attention to me, look at me, I have a YouTube channel. It's not what it is for me. Some people have like made fun of the suit and tie, and look, you should make fun of things because it's the internet, right? You're here for fun, but that's a work uniform for me. Yeah, this is sinewy. So if I were to spend more time on this, what I actually would do as a developer is I would probably rig these up with bones, and I would attach particle generators, and I would have those particle generators drip. So I would have like goo. Yeah, I would have monster goo dripping off this. I'm actually really, now that I'm doing that, I'm actually really, really liking this design. I wasn't sure yet before because it looked like a dress, right? But it's looking less like a dress now. Rashadzi, congrats on getting your video featured on Asmon's channel. It was so shocking. Like, he's so cool. I really enjoy his videos. So I was in shock when I just opened my computer and I saw his video pop up with me on it, and I was like, I remember thinking like, no, that can't be right. I must have left like my project open when I was posting my video, and I left my thumbnail up. So that's really cool. I'm really humbled by that. Hey, Elenon. Ah, great to see you, man. How are things going? We had the biggest windstorm yesterday. I live near Sydney, Australia. So you know that I'm constantly barbecuing, and I'm constantly having to fight kangaroos as I ride my surfboard to the grocery store. Usually, minimum two kangaroos on the way, and you got to box them. There's the only way to deal with kangaroo is by punching, and that's just what it's like in Australia. Um, no, seriously, we had the biggest windstorm. It was pretty scary. Like you're if you've got like trees around your car, there's always a chance that your car is just going to get crushed by a tree, you know. There we go. Nice and veiny, nice and sinewy. This is the kind of thing where you can spend as long as you want on this design. And if you're just checking in, I'm creating this design for free. So if someone out there is making games and they just happen to need enemies, I'm thinking every once in a while, you know, like maybe every couple of weeks, I'll hang out with you guys on stream. I'll make a creature design. I'll just make it free, and then we can hang out and chat, and then people can use it in their games. What I might start doing is using the grab tool. So let's go ahead and turn off the wireframe. Let's just enjoy our boy here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. We got to work on the hands now. Let's get some detail on the hands. John Walker Flint is a good dude. Hey, thanks for coming to hang out. I saw you on Asmund too. That's it was so cool. I'm so grateful to him for sharing my video. Not just because you know it's so cool to have people respond and hear from people, because I always enjoy hearing from people, but it's an important issue. This is something that is extremely important, and if we do not start dealing with the issue of this radicalized extremism dominating gaming culture, then it will get worse, and we have to do something about it. I'm going to scroll up on the chat. Sorry, I think I missed some stuff. Rashad Z, we making cryptids today? Well, this is just an enemy I'm making for free. So if people are working on a game and they happen to need an enemy, you know, chuck this guy in there. I'll include the animations and whatnot. So um, I'll use Mixamo to rig it up, and you can go on Mixamo and get as many animations as you need. So I'll set this up as a humanoid. Okay, let's go ahead and get his legs kind of muscly, and let's get some feet in there. I as So for creature designs, I'm a massive, like we were just chatting about Alien and whatnot. For creature designs, you got to have stuff that's just a little bit upsetting to look at. That's just how it is. So I like having these elements in here, which is kind of like, oh God, what is that? Why does he have like boob nipples in his crotch area? That's so gross. It's a monster, you know? It's got to have... My rule for monsters is there needs to be a level of grotesqueness, and then there has to be some aspect that's kind of cool about it as well. There needs to be charisma to your monster designs. So those are my two design philosophies when it comes to monsters. And I'm kind of thinking these pelvic boobs with nipples, I think is gross to look at. So I am happy with that. I'm going to leave it like that. People thought you were AI. Oh, that says you had a crush on Charlotte. You're not sorry. That's yeah. She's my favorite female Castlevania character after Shinoa. You know what voice clip like? What do the young people say these days? You'll have to excuse me because I'm not well versed with internet culture. Lives rent free in my head. Is that the saying? Someone will have to let me know if that's correct. You know when you're fighting, who's Shinoa's friend in Order of Ecclesia? When you can fight him and then you can either choose to save him or not. I think when he at some no either when she dies or he dies, there's that voice clip and they shout and it goes Shanoa. That it's like that lives rent free in my head. It's just some certain things. It's kind of like how the opening sequence to Resident Evil 2 lives rent free in my head. You know. That's the one where if you get me started, I'm gonna talk it out. I'm gonna say the rest of the opening sequence. You guys know what it is, right? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's great. Good hearing from you, Sean. Has any Concord devs reached out to you after your video is subs? Um, no. Well, at least I don't know of that, and I don't know. I'm not that interested in responding, even if they did reach out for consultation. Um, I'm not that interested. What I'm interested in is making games for people that are fun and cool, and that's it. Um, it's so cool that my subscriber count has doubled, but for me, that's not interesting to me in terms of, you know, like, oh, I want to have lots of subscribers. I don't really care about that because I'm not a YouTuber. I care that I have more people to hang out with. That's basically why I was so excited, because I was thinking like, oh, there's all these people that have come to my channel, and I like hearing from people. I like hearing from you guys. I like hearing about the movies and the games that you like. I like finding people who like the same games and movies that I like, and then we can hang out and chat, and that's what I care about. So the subscriber count thing, it's like, it's just a number, right? But the fact that I get to hang out with more people is really cool. Oh yeah, we're getting okay. So we're gonna turn symmetry off at some point. So we want one duck foot on that, and then one goat foot, as requested earlier in the chat. Con- Concord's bad fur day. Um, Ubisoft likes AI. I don't. I'm not going to use AI myself, um, for anything unless I'm using it for a joke. Like, you know, I don't need AI. AI is a cost cutting and a time saving measure. So there are certain industries that will greatly benefit from it. There are certain things like upscaling. Okay, no. I will revise my statement. I I have used AI for upscaling my assets to make them higher resolution. So I've used AI for upscaling, but generative AI is not something that I have any interest in. All right, so let's go ahead and have a look at our boy here. What I'm going to do is just adjust the legs so that the center of gravity looks a little bit more balanced. And I'm just going to pray that the auto rigger will know what to do with these legs here. I've done it a couple times where you have this sort of horse link type leg. I'm not an anthropologist, though I did study anthropology in college a little bit. I don't know what this weird horse leg is called. I like that you're not a YouTuber. It's okay. Have you guys ever had a YouTuber that you started watching and you really liked? They were down to earth, and then 2 years later, they're not even the same person. They're just like, they're constantly screaming at you. They're desperate to get your attention, and then they just start saying things that start to piss you off because they're so desperate to get the algorithm to pay attention to them. There's been a couple YouTubers like that where it's like, dude, I really liked you, I liked your channel, but now I can't physically handle watching them because it's so irritating. And it's such a bummer, that the algorithm just forces that to happen to people. I'm glad Osmongold showed your video. Deserve more subs. I really appreciate that. Um, Anything like being online is when you're creating things to share with people online, it's difficult because there's so much competition. And if you don't bend the knee to the algorithm, you're. I've been seeing this phrase as I've been researching the topic of Concord. And so, again, please excuse me, I'm not well versed in modern internet lingo and culture, but I believe the phrase is cooked. If you don't bend the knee to the algorithm, you're basically cooked. Am I saying that correctly? Am I using that right? Um, and when you have a big, um, content creator who has a well-established audience, and they themselves can work very well in terms of maintaining who they are as a person, the quality of their content, and they can work to use the algorithm very well, like Osman, that when you have someone help you by sharing your content, that's such a big deal. And I'm so appreciative of that, because if that doesn't happen, you basically have to bend the knee to the algorithm. Oh, Mark186. Hey, thanks for coming to hang out. Great video, dude. Everything you said is correct, and the industry needs to change for the better. I really appreciate that. Look, I used to do a lot of event management and industry talks. And then I ended up in a situation where I had to deal with a lot of people like Kathleen Kennedy. I never dealt with her directly. But I've had to deal with people just like Kathleen Kennedy, and it was a nightmare, and it became very unpleasant. And I just didn't want to be in that environment anymore. But I used to be in public relation roles, dealing with the public, dealing with people who could be very upset with whatever's going on. And you have to be able to manage that. You need to be able to understand and hear where people are coming from and mitigate issues. I was in a position of authority of running and managing events and making sure that the people that were exhibiting at these expos and these events were taken care of. Everything ran smoothly, and the events that I managed ran well. I did a lot of reporting and analyses after the fact to make sure that there can be improvement in the industry. And people like Kathleen Kennedy came in with zero experience and kicked out all of the men and destroyed the companies and the industry where I was working. And it became so unpleasant. And I'm older and have more experience now to recognize when things like that are happening, and I can see it getting worse. And I'm considering if I should get back to doing more public speaking and step back a little bit more into the public space when it comes to managing topics like that. So we'll see, because I really, really just want to make video games. That's really what I want. All right, let's get this boy sinewy up here. More sinew, more tendons. So if you're just checking in, thanks for coming to hang out. This is going to be a free model. This is going to be rigged up. I'll include the animations. If you're working on a game and you just happen to need more monsters, I guess I'll do this regularly, because it's not very time consuming or difficult for me to create monsters. And it's also a cool excuse to just hang out with you guys, because it's pretty easy to work on these because I've been doing it for so long that it's now more fun to hang out with people on live stream while I'm making these creatures. Who's the best? The best... We're going back to the 70s or 80s now. Who's the best monster? Say it in the chat. You know, this can be anyone from like Jason Voorhees. Who's the Hellraiser guy? Hellraiser face. Who's the best monster? Who would win in a fight? Ah, there we go. Which 70s or 80s monster would win in a fight? Nintendo says no to AI. I am very happy to hear Nintendo's stance on the usage of generative AI. I have used AI only for fun when hanging out with friends and we're trying to see, just trying to make like stupid, ugly stuff. So I have used AI, generative AI with friends for fun, just to like troll each other. Yeah. Rashad Z, I agree. Even though I lean more toward the against side, there are some tools when used in a way that actually helps you and not rip off other artists' work. It's really nice. Is Godzilla too old? What decade is Godzilla from? The first Godzilla. It feels like that would have been a 1940s... No, it would have been a 50s Japan movie? When was Godzilla made? When was the first Godzilla movie? First Godzilla movie. Survey says 1954. My credibility as a movie guesser in terms of when they came out, I've preserved my credibility this day. My web camera sometimes goes out of focus, so let me just put that on manual focus. I'm not sure why it does that. It's kind of funny. Manual focus here. Okay. I'm going to speed up a little bit just so I can get this rigged up and I can show you guys. So I might have to paint it after the fact because I need to go to my other, my full-time workstation for sculpting has my library. So let's just look, we're going to put nubs on this guy. Let's just put some nubs on him. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, I want this to be kind of like a clubbed situation, like a clubbed hand. Is anyone watched Freddy vs. Jason? You know what? I actually haven't seen Freddy vs. Jason. But like those versus movies, I haven't seen any of them. It's weird, right? Because that seems like the kind of movie I would really like. Pumpkinhead, maybe. Ah, what's Pumpkinhead from? I'm not sure I'm familiar with Pumpkinhead. In the near future, maybe I might make my very own game, maybe. I don't know if I actually will make my own game or not. Look, if you've got an idea, absolutely go for it. Something like Game Maker is extremely good because you don't have the learning curve of, say, for example, Unity or Unreal. Game Maker does a lot of work for you. It's more limited in what you can do when it comes to scalability. That means making your project more bigger and complex as time goes on during the project. Game Maker tends to struggle with scalability. Unreal has the best scalability that I've seen out of the game engines. Unity is close behind. Things like Godot are great, but they have a scalability issue as well. As the bigger and more complex your project gets, it becomes a little less manageable. But something like, if you just want to make a game concept and it doesn't need to be this huge sprawling game, try Game Maker. If you want to make an RPG, use RPG Maker. Don't use RPG Maker Unite, because then you have to use Unity, and that is problematic. That's not a very good product right now, and it needs more time to mature. You know what's hilarious about the movies promotion? Jason and Freddy had a press conference like a boxing ring. Or really? Pumpkinhead is from Pumpkinhead. He's a vengeance demon that Lance Henriksen, cool, summons to kill the teenagers who accidentally killed his son. I have a feeling I may have seen Pumpkinhead now that you're describing it. Is this the Lance Henriksen that is from Aliens, right? Lance Henriksen is from Aliens. I'm at risk of losing all my credibility as an Alien fan here if I've got that wrong. This is what a $200 million mistake looks like in video. I want to make a fighting game in Unreal, but I'm learning Blender for Shadow Man. So, hey, cool. Good to hear from you, Shadow Man. So, I'm not sure about Unreal. I've only used Unreal a little bit, right? But I'm going to, let's see. I'll show you this, and it's very likely that Unreal has something similar. So this is, okay, this won't show the videos. This is called Universal Fighting Engine. I've used this for a game in the past, and it is excellent. This is for Unity, of course, but it is a system that allows you to create your characters and moves in a very structured, very well-made way. It allows you to define like all the frame data, where the hitboxes are. It's extremely well made, well maintained. You can produce great stuff with this. It's highly expandable in that you can code anything that you want in terms of adding it onto it. So in 2016, I launched a game called Animelee, and I did a huge amount of customizing the engine because you have the source code. So I made huge modifications. It allowed me to do things like transformation, so the characters could transform. They were able to gain new abilities, and even like change the number of air jumps that you get, your movement speed, change your move set, all of that sort of stuff. So if you need to expand your game, you can. But if you don't have a ton of programming experience, you just want to make a fighting game, you could make a full fighting game without having to program using Universal Fighting Engine. So I recommend this. There's lower cost options, like that's pretty expensive, but they have like lower cost options. Like here's a version for $59 US. And I assume that this is something that there would be something similar to this on Unreal as well. This is what you would call a framework. So have a look and see, because coding a fighting game from scratch it's really demanding, it's time consuming, and you won't be able to code a fighting game framework just on the get-go. Just as, if that's your first time trying to make a fighting game framework, you won't have the experience to make it work, and your project will get stuck. So I strongly recommend using a framework for that. And once you do that, you have your project is 20 times more likely to actually reach completion. If you try to code an entire fighting game framework all by yourself and you've never done a fighting game framework before, you won't have the experience or skill to do it. Your project won't reach completion. I hate the fact that UFE is $350. I wanted to make a 3D fighting game like Tekken, but the problem is the basic version doesn't allow it unless you buy the pro version. Oh, are you serious? Isn't that an asset flip? Oh, which one? Hold on, let me scroll up in the chat and see what we're talking about. Did it really take 8 years to develop Concord? John Walker Flint, I think you're talking about Dustborn. Dustborn reportedly has stolen assets from Grand Theft Auto. And if you see one example of that, then that will not be the only example of stolen assets. If someone has done that, they have stolen so much more, because they will not stop at, oh, it's okay, I'll just steal one apartment from a commercial title. No, that's not how it works. That means that that person does not have the ability to create their own assets or to source them ethically or to hire someone. They steal, which means that there will be so much more in their game that was stolen. As good as Freddy versus Jason press conference was, the best one was Sadako and Kayako. Oh, right, yeah. Aliens use Bishop, good. If I can recommend a simple game engine to get into, it's GDevelop. Oh, I've seen games from scratch talk about GDevelop. That looks really good. Like you said, scalability may be an issue, but it has an event system that is simple to understand and the software is free is open. I'll look that up. AI is going to take over feminism because of patriarchy. You want to look? Here's what really frustrates me about feminism is the people that are doing feminism these days are not approaching feminism from a genuine standpoint and a genuine perspective. We have had people fighting for feminism for decades, and the people that have fought that fight have made sacrifices. They've put themselves in the crosshairs of history and of hatred, and they did it with elegance and poise and respect. And the people that are doing feminism these days totally disregard that. What they're doing is acting like the people who came before them did not fight for feminism. They're acting like people these days are the first people to fight for feminism, when all they're doing is inflating their own ego. They are not actually fighting for feminism because they refuse to accept all of the work that has already gone into fighting for feminism. And that is what's so frustrating, is this whole Kathleen Kennedy thing and the force is female. That is not feminism. That is bigotry. It's sanctioned bigotry and hatred and hate speech. And we cannot afford to let people like Kathleen Kennedy and her friends destroy the culture of the world, because that's what they are doing. There's no two ways around it. They are just inflating their own egos. And what they're doing is not feminism. We have had people fighting for feminism already. And Kathleen Kennedy is not fighting for that. She is fighting for nepotism to put her friends who should not be working in jobs as creatives. She's giving jobs to them and giving them positions that they did not earn. Hey, Motioncast Loke, thanks for coming to hang out. I'm creating a monster. I'm going to rig this up, put some animations, and if you're working on a game and you happen to need a monster, you can use this guy. I'm kind of thinking maybe every other week or so I'll make a new monster and then people can have it for free. Remote day before, they stole a bunch of assets and denied despite there being evidence. That's... what a bummer. Shadow Knight won't die well. Why does every game now look like Unreal Engine? Here's the problem with Unreal, is that it looks so good right out of the box, so people don't have to do more work. That's the one problem with Unreal, is that it's too good. My grandfather is a wise man, and he had a saying, and my grandfather would always say this. People came around for the holidays, we'd go out fishing, and Grandpa would always say this. Grandfather would say, you can tell the difference between a Unity user and an Unreal user, because Unreal users talk shit about other people's engines, but Unity users talk shit about their own engine. And that's what Grandpa used to always say. No, that's something that I believe, is that Unreal's so good that you don't have to do more work, so people tend to not create a unique aesthetic because their game already looks so good. So they tend to focus on other aspects for games. Whereas because out of the box, Unity does not look very good out of the box. And other engines are in the same situation where they don't look that good out of the box. So that means that the developers have to put in more work, usually having to create a visual aesthetic that ends up being unique because they've done the work for that. So in general, that's why I see that happening. I'll scroll up with the chat now. There's something similar in the Unreal store, but I can't say that if in the Unreal version of that fighting engine has all the features you mentioned. I'll look it up and see. Now I'm interested in seeing. Janet J777, agree as a woman. Good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out. It's so frustrating these days. We have had strong female characters in TV shows, in movies, and in video games for decades. The very first episode of The Outer Limits was aired in 1957, I think. And the very first episode of The Outer Limits, which is a sci-fi show, starred a strong female protagonist. And in that, it wasn't about tearing down men to elevate yourself. She was just a strong protagonist and a leading character because that's what the story was about. And that was in the 50s. And we have people like Kathleen Kennedy coming out here acting like we've never had strong female characters and strong female representation. What about Ellen Ripley, the hero of the Alien series? She's not a strong female? I mean, what's that all about, right? It's really frustrating. Bastardized feminist is basically trying to make it marketable and edgy. Yeah, give him alligator teeth. Hey, Chance Paladin, will do. Sometimes women. It's too good. Good words, so true. Wise grandpa. Freaking Unity. Do you think the gamers will get tired of that Unreal Engine look? I don't know, right? And look, I don't really think so. And the reason being is because, like, not every Unreal game sticks with that stock out-of-the-box photorealistic look. It's pleasant to look at, and we do have so much variety in games that there's enough variety to where if you get tired of looking at that Unreal look, you can just go and play another game. You can go do other games for a while because there's so many independent, smaller developers that care more about creating something that is true to their vision, that is about art. And so there's enough of that. I feel that there's enough of that in the industry, thankfully, that we're not stuck with games that only look like photorealistic Unreal games. So I'm getting so pixely here. Let me go ahead and smoothen this out a little bit. Outer Limits and Twilight Zone were both bangers. On a hard drive, I'm not saying that I'm a pirate, you know, but I'm not saying I'm a pirate, but I will put on my One Piece hat for this, that I've got a hard drive that has all of the Outer Limits and the Twilight Zone. And some nights, man, sometimes when it's late at night, you just want to see like an old Twilight Zone, an old Outer Limits from like the 60s. It's like comfort food, right? You know that you have a massive backlog of Netflix shows and all this other stuff to watch. And sometimes you just want to watch something kind of old that you're familiar with. It's just comfort food, you know? All right, that's my piracy, my support of piracy. Okay, that's over now. Look, once I start painting this guy, he's not going to be as adorable, right? Okay, so I've just been having so much fun hanging out and talking to you guys. I just need to make his arms make a little more logical sense now. Let me get caught up with the chat a little bit. Yo, I can play for Bink's sake on the fiddle. That was one of the first things I learned when I was teaching myself fiddle. Samus is a great character. Oh man, there's so many great female characters in games, and to act like they don't exist is so insulting. That's creating this division between genders that we've already spent so much energy and effort breaking down that division between genders, and then Kathleen Kennedy is building it back up. Come on. That's so selfish. And it's just rude. First Descendant looks good, but God, it's a generic game. First Descendant, I'll look that up. I'm not sure what that is. First, let me just Google First Descendant. Okay, I'll just bring this up. Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I should watch a video of it. It's so sad that and this is why I like the Discord so much. I can hang out with you guys, and then you guys can tell me what games you're playing, and then I get to vicariously enjoy the games because I'm basically working all day long. I run my own studio. I'm a solo developer. I'm constantly developing multiple games. So I don't get a lot of time to enjoy games. So that's why I make a big deal about hanging out with people on the internet. And that is because I would probably go insane if I didn't, because otherwise I'm sitting in my office and I'm just working and making games all day. So getting to hang out with you guys is extremely important to me. Oh, look at these arm flaps here. Let's do something about his arm flaps. All right, let's make it sinewy. I'm going to balance out the proportions a little bit. Hold on. I don't really like what I did just there. Okay, shift. No. Control? Control. Control's the opposite button here. Ashura's Wrath was made in Unreal. I've seen that. That game looks really awesome, doesn't it? Ashura's Wrath? Uh-oh. Oh, no. That's the freeze tool. I sometimes do that by accident. Freeze tool stops you from being able to modify those. Very useful if you need to stop an area from being modified. Okay, so his armpit needs to go in like that. So let's go ahead. We're going to bring that in. Okay. And you know what really, like, it's important to maintain composure and keep calm, but just as a person, as a gamer, you know what really grinded my gears? It's just ticked me off. When we saw all of this, there's no women in video games and this and that. So you've never seen like a Jill Valentine, a Claire Redfield, a Lara Croft, a Rebecca Chambers, Sheva Olimar. You've never seen those characters? Sheva Olimar is one of my favorite characters because she just has this kind of like, okay, there's always going to be some interpreted degree of ludonarrative dissonance. And what I loved about Sheva Olimar in Resident Evil 5 was she had this like such a chill, blasé attitude, whereas look at what's happening in the world of Resident Evil, right? There's these bioorganic weapons, dudes punching boulders, basically these giant things coming out of people's heads, and there's never one moment where Sheva Olimar in Resident Evil 5, there's never a moment where Sheva's like, holy crap, dude, oh my god. She's always like, man, this is crazy, right? Like, rough day at work, isn't it? You know, that was kind of her attitude. I absolutely loved that. So any chance I could, like, I always enjoyed playing a co-op with Resident Evil 5. I always wanted to be Sheva. I was all about that cool attitude that she had. But I would say Claire's my favorite Resident Evil character. Claire also had that kind of attitude, that sort of just chill vibe. Allison Court is absolutely my Claire. I'm gonna sound like, you know, probably one of those complainers. Look, if Claire's not voiced by Allison Court, I'm not gonna like Claire as much, you know, and that's just how it is. You can call me a misogynist or whatever, I don't know, but Allison Court is the Claire that I like. Oh, so am I on the... Oh, whoops, sorry. I was like, screw... Chic. Yeah, look, Zelda's awesome. The girl from Parasite Eve forgot her name. Aya Brea. I was obsessed with Aya Brea as a kid. And I think it was because I didn't know what mitochondria was. And they kept bringing up this idea of mitochondria. And Aya Brea was like, ooh, my mitochondria... it does this and that. And as my kid brain was like, do I have that? Do I have mitochondria? What is that? So I was obsessed with Parasite Eve when I was a kid. Eventually at high school, biology, they started talking about mitochondria. And I jumped up out of my seat during biology in high school. And they said, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. I know what mitochondria is. And everyone looked at me, they're like, dude, what's your problem? What's that all about? And I was like, I know what it is. I know what it is. Sheva was trying to earn Chris's trust and respect the whole game. Plus, she was a lefty, which is nuts. I want to see Sheva in another Resident Evil. I will start a campaign, Justice for Sheva. Why hasn't she been in another game? Rebecca Chambers needs to be in another game, and Sheva will be in another game. I will not play another Resident Evil game until we get Justice for Sheva. I am ready the goat. You know what I love? Again, same thing that I mentioned earlier. You know what I love is spamming, like, making your characters say lines so that you get a Chris, Sheva, over here. Chris, over here, Sheva. What did Wesker say? What does Wesker have a line? You know, you can play him in the Mercenaries. I need an egg. Does that, or does he say like, I guess I should be grateful, or something like that, right? I guess I should be thankful. Something. Wesker's got a line like that, but I like the I need an egg. I bet they had so much fun in the recording booth doing lines like I need an egg. See, this is where it's cool, where I'm kind of paying less attention to the sculpt, and it's more fun just hanging out with you guys. Has anyone played the Third Birthday, Parasite Eve? That game gave me deep fear of demon babies. Alcor Salvador, good to see you. Yeah, I'm a Claire Min-Maxer. Dude, I pitched an entire script for a Revelations 3 starring Shiva and Josh. I'd play the heck out of that. Where are the modders? Where are the modders? Capcom never got back to me. You will give me an egg. We need more punching boulders. Oh no, my thighs. I messed up my thighs. Where is Revelations 3? Where is Revelations 3? Good question. Okay, so I'm going to taper the arms a little bit just so like look at the outline. It's a little bit funny, right? So I'm just going to taper them so they don't look like Hulk hands, I guess. Something about survival horror games, I just have more fun playing the female characters. Like they're cooler in survival horror games, and I'm not sure if it's because I like things like Alien that has the female main character. Um, but it's kind of like the male characters in horror games are kind of too strong, right? Like you expect this character to be like, oh yeah, he's like a big, strong, brave dude. To me, it's more interesting having female characters in horror games because the monsters can feel more dangerous. I bring up examples like Silent Hill 3, where you constantly feel like you are in danger. And that's why I prefer female characters in horror games, is it makes the horror more tangible and pressing. And there's something about like watching a female character do like a big kick is so cool. Like Shiva had a big kick, right? In my first commercial title, Silver Falls Three Down Stars, there's three primary protagonists. There's Holt, Annalise, and Moss. And you know that I gave Annalise a backflip kick. So that's her thing. When you stun the enemies, she does a big kick. So that's my true colors showing through that I like a big kick. Okay, let's go ahead and let's make this guy's face look scarier now. I think I've I think I've spent too much time on his arms. I'm kind of just having fun hanging out with you guys and chatting. Revelations 2 was so tense. I really liked again, it's the same thing like why I like Charlotte and Jonathan in Portrait of Ruin. I just like having the two characters. Revelations 2 having the two characters was so awesome. Have you seen the Nintendo Direct the other day? I was so happy the moment Capcom are releasing another fighting game collection. I haven't seen that. I'll have to look that up. Okay, Chance Paladin said, give this bad boy some teeth. Let's do it. See, this is a situation where you can either do this with the sculpt and then it becomes a little bit harder to manage in terms of painting, or you can, personally, I would put this game in engine and then I would put the teeth in engine. So I wouldn't make them part of the model. And the reason why I would do that is that when I have different instances of this enemy, I would actually write a script that would randomize the teeth that are in the mouth so it looks a little different every time you encounter the enemy. That's what I would do personally. In this situation, I'll just go ahead and I'll just give him just a couple little chompy chompers. Oops. Then they played with Barry Burton bulldozing after them. I like Barry a lot, but I didn't like that part where it was sort of like, hey, I didn't know this story was about Barry. I thought it was about Claire and Moira, but that's fine, you know. So let's go ahead and grab tool, and then we're going to use the pinch. What I should have done was focus on big canines. That's what I should have done. Um, I think I might be taking a little too long on this. It's fine. We're just hanging out and having fun, and that's really why we're here. That's the point. It's also why the lead character is most slasher movies is a woman. Uh, Psychologically, we condition the reality of the danger of a smaller woman over a larger man, and when they overcome it, the sense of empowerment is better. Yeah, that's great. That's a really good analysis. It's satisfying watching the female characters make it through a horror movie or a survival horror game. It's so satisfying. Whereas you see the male characters survive and you're like, well, I mean, he was like this big strong dude anyway, so you know, it doesn't feel as dangerous. The situation where that was done well was the first Silent Hill. Harry Mason, he comes across as such a nobody, just a plain dude. The reason why he works so well as a protagonist is because he was so clunky mechanically that we came from games where characters can wield massive swords, they can run and double jump and leap over buildings, and suddenly you have this dude who can barely handle a gun. And that's what made the first Silent Hill feel so effective as a horror game, is that the character felt human and vulnerable mechanically. I took that approach with my first commercial game that's 3 down stars, Silver Falls 3 down stars, and there are people that understood what I was going for, was making the characters feel vulnerable. And for me, the Silver Falls characters for my game series, it's more important that they feel like people and they feel vulnerable, and you don't feel like you're this big powerful video game character, because subconsciously that lets the player understand this isn't some superhero, and you're not gonna just steamroll your way through this game. And in my first game, there were people that understood that, and they, even today, to this day, they tell me like they really like that aspect. And then I got a lot of negative reviews for that game because they said that my game was clunky and that the characters didn't handle well. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I used a camera system that was over the shoulder, so it looked like a third-person shooter, and people expected the game to handle like a third-person shooter. So there's an instance where your cultural expectation can clash with the game that you're actually playing, the product you're experiencing. And that's just part of the learning experience for developers, is you're just going to run into situations like that where people they're not necessarily going to get what you're going for. And you just gotta be cool with it, man. You gotta accept that people aren't always going to click with it, but there are people that will get what you're doing and they're going to enjoy it. Oops. A reduced brush. Okay. Something like that. Let's give them some bottom teeth as well. This is why I prefer doing things like teeth. I prefer doing them like in Maya. I don't really like sculpting when it comes to that sort of thing. So usually with my creatures, I'll use Maya for that, or and then I'll attach them in engine. Bro, dope collection. Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up after the stream. This collection you guys are talking about. Okay, and let's go ahead and uninflate that. Pinch. Oh, I'm like messing this up. I'm really messing this up. This is getting so messed up here. Okay, grab. You know what? That's probably okay. That's all right. Okay, so let me try and separate that a little bit. Or, okay, I want to make this look less like a dress. So what I need to do is grab these visual elements and bring that in. I'm going to get caught up on the chat a little bit. Teeth time. Actually, I think the rest of the series kind of overwrites that. Compared to the rest of the central protagonist, Harry is just this unknown force effing up gods and monsters and ruining the order. Actually, you know who's actually jacking things up in Silent Hill is oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Oh my goodness. I need more coffee. James Sunderland. Oh my God. What's wrong with me today? You give that guy a plank, and then he does the whirlwind move. You can just do this. You can walk around the entire town with a wooden plank, jacking everything up, and you just stun lock everything to death. That guy is dangerous. So that is a dangerous man. The fact that he's a killer does actually, you know, that guy is a dangerous force. So I'm going to bring these elements in now. So it's less like a dress. Okay. My brother and I started calling Silent Hill 1 Legend of the Destroyer. Jen's Ballad 3 Down Stars is one of my favorite games. It's totally OG Silent Hill and Resident Evil vibes. I really appreciate that. That really means a lot to me. It was terrifying working on 3 Down Stars because it was my first commercial title. And the entire time, I was realizing and discovering more and more how broken Unity 3DS was. And it was a matter of, like, every day I woke up, I was like, what do I do? I don't know if I should scrap this project, because I would take like 2 steps forward and then 10 steps back, realizing more and more this engine's broken. It doesn't work. And so it was so worrying working on 3 Down Stars. Clock Tower 3 Scissorman. Oh yeah, I'm all about Scissorman. You know that. Scissorman's awesome. That is like, holy, like, what do you do when a guy has a massive pair of scissors, right? I think who's the protagonist of Clock Tower 3? Because I've played much more of 1 and 2 than 3. Scissorman, that's a cool monster. Scissorman for Smash is all I'm saying. Let's get some scissor in there. Yeah. Alyssa, yeah, that sounds right. I've played 3, but not as much as 1 and 2. Okay. Let me know if I'm getting my games mixed up. Is 3 the one where you get like a magic bow and arrow at the end for Clock Tower? Or is that a different game? A lot of those horror games from that era, my brain just files them in the same drawer. So sometimes I think I'm talking about Fatal Frame, but I'm actually talking about Siren. And then like a friend will be like, dude, you're describing Siren, not Fatal Frame. I'll go, yeah, oops. I just reached into the drawer in my brain and I pulled out the wrong game, didn't I? Yeah, the one with time travel. That's a creative, man. Time travel, that's hard to write, man. That is a messy subject to write. Okay, you know what? Let me just start painting this guy. So we're going to save this. Okay, so let me see if the head needs any further detail, and then we're going to reach the final stage of the sculpt. Let's give the head a little bit of more detail. I was not confident that this was going to look like a crocodile, but we got there in the end. Okay. Oh, whoops, wrong one. Draw. You become a magical girl fighting the new Scissor Man of the stage. Good, I'm glad I remembered that correctly, because that is certainly something you wouldn't forget when you see it. Hold on, that looks cute. We need to be careful not to cutify this guy. If I'm not careful, I will make him adorable. So I just need to be really careful with this last step here. I'm going to tone down this cheekbone because it's kind of cute. I'm going to narrow his snoot a little bit, his snooter. Let's go ahead and scale that down just a little bit. Okay, we'll zoom out. And we'll get that just a little bit pointier. So I'm looking at the proportions of the head to the body. If the head is too big, it makes it look adorable. So I think I'm going to shift the design elements of this character. The arm's going to swing down there. I just need to make sure the proportions are good enough. So there's too much going on back here. I'm going to bring that in just a little with the grab tool. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to save as, and then we will save it as S2. What we're going to do now is turn off symmetry, and that means that we can now make different adjustments to each side of the body. He needs mean flaring nostrils. Okay. Let's see. See, I'm worried that that'll make him cute, is the thing. Like, I have a feeling that would make him cute. It's my kawaii senses, as it were. I was born with kawaii senses, you know. I didn't ask for this power. Put eyes in his nostrils then! Everybody! Alcor Salvador coming in with the save. All right. We're doing it. Yes! Alcor Salvador coming in with the save. We're doing it. Hold on. We're making nose eyes is what we're doing. All right. I could kick his ass with the shears. He's tiny. Okay. Yes. Everybody, round of applause for Alcor here. I like that idea very much. Okay. Nice. Hold on. We're going in. I want to make sure we make this real good. Okay, so you want flaring nostrils. Yep, that's pretty flared. Okay, let's make sure they're not. Okay, yep. Yeah. Okay. I suddenly got quiet because I'm taking this very seriously all of a sudden. Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. I think I'll just grab that inner part a little bit. All right. Let's go. Deep press. We're doing it. All right. Yes, this is what I live for. All right. We're going to scale that down. And we're going to move them in there. All right, so Scissor Man. Do you think there will ever be another Clock Tower game? Does anyone believe there would ever be another Clock Tower game? Now here's the thing, right? Eyeballs are not actually perfectly round. There is some ellipsoidal value to them. And so I will take that into account so I can fill up his nose holes. Okay. Yes. And if anyone asks questions about the nose, eyes, You know what? They weren't there, man. They weren't there. You weren't there. Let's give these a little bit of an ellipsoidal value to them. Something like that. Okay. Well done. There's eyeballs in those nose holes. And then we're going to bring it in just a little bit. I'm happy. Are you guys happy? Yeah? Awesome. Okay, great. We're looking good. That's going to be eyeball in there. Nose Eyes compatible VR headset when EP, I think we need to raise the issue with VR manufacturers. If you don't have nose eyes for your VR, I'm not buying it. All right, we're going to save this as a draft too. So what I'm going to do now is turn off symmetry, and then we'll give him asymmetrical values, which will make him look visually more upsetting. So earlier in the chat, Stephen requested a duck foot and then one goat foot. So that's kind of like a clubbed goat foot, isn't it? Let's just turn one of these into a duck foot, which means that we need to extend this out and make it skinny. So I'm kind of oh no, forgot to turn off. Oh, what have I done, Precious? There, it's back. Okay. All right, hold on. Turn off symmetry. It's almost like it has two faces now. I like that because then you're not, you know, like butterflies are like that, right? They have a sort of a survival mechanism where their wings look like they have a face, so you're not sure where to look. Bro, I want to play with nose eyes in VR. Nose eyes are where the industry's headed, and if people aren't going to jump on that bandwagon, they're going to miss out, man. You're going to get left behind. It's all about nose eyes these days. Booger eyeballs. Oh, don't even say that. You wake up and your nose eyes are just stuffed, man. Allergies, right? Whew. I think this is what duck feet look like. I've never owned a duck, but I wouldn't say no to owning a duck. Has anyone owned a duck? And I grew up in a rural area. I just didn't have a duck. Oh man, the Miximo auto rigger is not going to like me. Okay. This is jacked up. Well, let's give it a sense of at least some musculature, some bones in there. Bones. Okay. Oh, that's a little too jacked up. Hold on. You know, it'd be fun because I make a bunch of different frameworks for my games. You know, it'd be fun is if like every week or every other week we all just hung out and then just made a bunch of weird monsters like this, and then I just put it in a game, and like you hunt these monsters. These are the enemies that you fight in the game. I could use some of the existing frameworks that I have already made. So then I just make this free, and then that'd be kind of the game that we can just play and laugh at with these weird designs. No, Duck owns you. When he cries, it's a real mess. If he sneezes, his eyes shoot out. Oh man, that'd be cool. That'd be cool to program that. Okay, let's make this one like a goat situation. Oh, it's like a clubbed foot. Yeah. Okay, we need to shrink this thing down as well. So let's go ahead and get that, like, we got to get that smaller. That'd be sick as hell. Yeah, I don't know, just something fun for us to to have a laugh at, I think. Ever watch All Real Monsters? My guy! Yes! Alright. I'm a big All Real Monsters fan. Um, Oblina? Is that the skinny one? That's black and white stripes. The guy who had the eyeballs and he would like use them to see places. That actually gave me like massive anxiety as a kid, because my worry was if he misplaces one of those eyeballs, he's not getting it back. So that was my concern as a kid, was you have got to put a leash on those eyeballs, because once that's gone, that's gone. What was his name? All Real Monsters, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 failed because they removed Oblina. Why would you remove Oblina? Oh, come on. You know what that is? That is speciesist against whatever species Oblina is. Oblina is a female. Obviously, it's this male elitism. They're trying to be some sort of patriarchy and tear women down by removing female characters from fighting games. That's what it was. She was a zoner in the first All-Stars Brawl, wasn't she? Okay. Do you want this foot, do you want that to be thin or thick? Let me know. Okay, and I'm going to scale down one of the arms here. He'd get it back because he'd still be able to see where it was. But see, like, you can see where the moon is, but you can't necessarily get to the moon. You see what I mean? Like, my worry was his eyeball would end up somewhere where they couldn't go and retrieve it. Because he was putting that eyeball everywhere in that show. And he was like, he did not care where that eyeball went. So I'm going to scale down this arm. This is 100% all factual true. Crumb! Thank you, Crumb. Ickis. Who's Ickis? Is that the red one? All of these memories are just like rushing back to my brain. She was a pure rush down. Her neutral air was fast as hell. Did she have a projectile, or am I thinking of someone? Look, I didn't play that much of All-Stars, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. Is that what it's called? Here's the thing. I would invite friends over for some Smash Bros. And then as a joke, I would have a Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl booted up already. And then I would say, all right, let's hit them Smash. Turn on the TV, and then it would be All-Stars Brawl. And then my friends would be like, come on, why? And then usually I would force them to play one match of All-Stars Brawl before they would say, can we please play Smash now? She did have a projectile, but it was more guard safe than reliable damage. I see. You're worried his eyeball would end up on the moon. Yeah, yes, that is what I'm saying. I'm worried Crumb's eyeball would end up on the moon and they wouldn't be able to get it. Okay, so let's go ahead and make his gross flaps asymmetrical now. So see how they're symmetrical? It just doesn't look good, right? It's too mechanical. So what we'll do now, since we are, no longer, what have I done? I pressed Control Z on the wrong keyboard again, didn't I? And that maxed out the audio. Sorry about that if the audio suddenly got too loud. Can you even hear the music, or? I gotta get used to using the right keyboard here. Okay, so here's the thing. Have a look at my drawing tablet here. You can program macros, right? So you can program these. You see the little LCD screen on there? You can program those to be custom buttons, which is so important. And what is very, very annoying is that for some reason, every once in a while, all of my settings will get reset. So I've just stopped programming the macros because I got sick of having to reprogram them every time I wanted to use them. So I just use the defaults on there. I don't know why it does that, and I don't like it. All right, I want the grab tool. Grabby grab, grab grab. Oh, you know what? I should hit the lock button on that label there. There we go. I can't see how his eye would get to the moon, but he would. Nice. Nice. That was like, you know there were episodes where his eyeball would end up somewhere, and I had a hard time paying attention to the plot of the episode, because the whole time I would be thinking, dude, you gotta focus on getting your eyeball back. They'd be like running around, very chill about the whole thing. And like 10-year-old me is just in a tailspin on whether or not they were gonna get his eyeball back. Okay. There we go. Move that up a bit, and then we'll use the scale tool, and we'll shrink some of this down now. Oh, Wally Comics, hey, good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out. I do manga in South Africa. That is awesome. That's so cool. Best investment I did was getting a screen I can directly do art on. Would you ever consider getting a screen like that? I do. I have 2 screens like that. I have a Cintiq, which is a 23-inch, and one of the ones where it's, I think it's an 11-inch one. I use them for different purposes, but I'm thinking of selling the smaller one because I don't use it that much. I mostly only use it for digital painting because of the setup for it. Which one do you use, Wally Comics? If he is holding his eyeballs the whole time, where did it come from initially? Did he always have them? I would assume you're born with them, right? Obviously. I would think they're maybe, all right, they're on an umbilical cord on his hands. So when you're born, you know, dangling, little danglers, he's got eyeballs hanging from his palms. And I think by like the age of 2, the umbilical just like breaks off, right? Like that's just an evolutionary thing. His species, that's how it works. So they break off, and then you have to manually hold on to your eyeballs at that point. I like to think they popped. Oh, you think the eyes came out first? I think you need to have the umbilical thing because it takes like a year for it to sync up. It's like Bluetooth, right? So and you know, like Bluetooth is so dodgy, like it can take a while for something to sync up. So I think that the eyeballs have to stay attached for a while in order to sync up. Oh dang, how do you go back to drawing on a screenless tablet the way you do now? The convenience of it feeling very close to traditional is what makes it feel so easy to do things. Well, that's a very good question. If I'm drawing like how you say, you know, when I'm doing my 2D art, I wouldn't use this one. I would use my drawing tablet with the screen. But when it comes to sculpting, using this one's not a problem. I would prefer to use sculpting on my Cintiq. That's in my full-time sculpting workstation, but my workstation is not the same as this is my live broadcast station here. I have set up a camera, but then I ended up, I'm in the middle of repairing some game hardware, and it's ended up on my workstation where I do my full-time sculpting and drawing. So I can't do a live broadcast from there right now, as it's too messy. I need to finish repairing and replacing the capacitors on the Game Gear. Maybe a bunch of baby fat covered the entire body, hiding the arms entirely, so he had normal eyes. Oh, that's gross. I like it. And then, like, the baby fat melts away over time. And then the eyeballs are then sort of free-floating at that point. I use a Huion. Oh, I've seen the Huion. Those look really good. If I didn't already have these, I would have gotten myself a Huion. Canvas Pro. I think it's probably like $500, expensive for an African independent artist, but it saved me so much mental strain. I absolutely know what you mean. It's you can't even compare having a drawing tablet that doesn't have a screen. It is not intuitive. It's nowhere near as much of a connection with the art as it is having the screen. I'm so glad you got one. That's awesome. I'm gonna look up that model again just so I can have another look at it. Okay, this is. I'm pretty happy with this. Let's go ahead and just buff up. So if one arm is smaller than the other, like the chest area would also be less muscular on the smaller side. So let's go ahead and do that. So what sort of, Awali Comics, what sort of stuff do you draw with your tablet? What sort of work do you do? Sculpt with gyro controls challenge. That'd be a challenge. That'd be a real challenge. I mean, people kind of do that with VR, don't they? Like, that's painting, but it's also in a 3D space, so it almost qualifies as a sculpt, doesn't it? Let's give this guy, it's shoulder day for this guy. Look, he's getting buff in like in the worst way possible. All right, let's get him buff on this side. Oh, this friend. Oh man. Oh. How buff can we get him on this side of his body? How buff can we get him here? This is cracking me up now. Used to use the Wacom entry-level device. I started with an entry-level Wacom. I remember being so happy getting it, but realizing your brain needs to go through a learning process. Absolutely. I struggled trying to do drawing and 2D art, but for the sculpts, it doesn't really bother me using the tablet for the sculpt. I do manga art, essentially. You sell at conventions and do commission work. That's awesome. I'm glad you're able to do that. That's so cool. You get to make a living doing what you enjoy, and that's awesome. You versus the alligator. She tells you not to worry about... Oh, yeah. This is the alligator she tells you not to worry about. This is you. Well, if this is you, then I'm just going to shrink the arm a little bit. Here we go. Hold on. We'll bring that in just a little bit more. And then we'll use the... It'll be funny if this arm is just like a baby arm. He does. He has a huge heart. Okay, we're going to start painting this now. So what I'm going to do now is optimize it. Okay, his left leg now needs to be skinnier. Here we go. He has a huge heart, but only half of his heart. The other half of his heart is not pumping enough blood to his body. Let's go ahead and just like make this part of his body just like thinner, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh no! Hold on. Okay, so this leg is thinner now, right? Okay. We got, this is our skinny duck leg. Oh, that looks bad. But what if his little pelvic nipple boob was bigger? Huh? You got to consider these things. It's important. Okay, we got to smoothen that out. But he's got to have some musculature in there, right? Like, it can't be like that. You have to have some musculature. So let's go ahead and just add a little bit in there. Okay. And there we go. So let's go ahead and increase the scale of his pelvic boob. Oop. And let's bring it down a little bit. Oh, you know what? It needs like veins and tendons connected to it. There we go. This is gross. I sometimes wonder what happened to me years ago to make me like this. Why do I come up with designs like this? What happened to me? And should I talk to somebody about it? And then I think I'm talking to you guys about it, so that's probably that's probably healthy. That's probably good enough. All right, let's add like a little bit of a tendon connection there, and let's add. Okay, so we want to crease that on the inside. No one's gonna want to use this weird thing in their game. This is so weird looking. Okay. I'm new to your channel. What sort of game is Guardians and Metal Exterminators? I could probably show you if I plug it in. So Guardians and Metal Exterminators is a... it's a mission-based action RPG. It's a little bit like a dungeon crawler, and the game is set up in short missions. And there's a bunch of different playable characters in terms of humans and monsters. So as you play through the game, you see story sections, but there aren't huge cinematics. And that's because with my games, I focus on the feeling, the end feeling that the player has. Like, to me, it's not about like, oh, well, people expect big cinematics and this and that. With Guardians and Metal Exterminators, it's set in the 80s. And so I want people to have a feeling of what media felt like, what storytelling felt like in the 80s. So while the visuals are sort of high fidelity with, you know, the detailed character models, when it comes to the story, it is more focused on the dialogue and the interactions between the characters. So the story sections just have characters hanging out around a campfire and talking, and it's not about, you know, running around and jumping and punching boulders. But the people that enjoy Guardians and Metal Exterminators generally enjoy it because of the character relationships and interactions. There's a ton of different monsters to play as. They all have different moves. So when you complete a mission, you earn random weapons. And if you do well, the weapons can have skills attached. You can upgrade and customize the weapons. You can add and attach new skills to the weapons. And so it's really about experimenting with different character builds and coming up with just fun, cool experiments for your weapons and your characters. It's meant as a very chill experience. You're meant to just play the game, you know, if you have 15, 30 minutes, you boot up Guardians and Metal Exterminators, you hop in, do a couple missions, you get some cool loot and rewards, and it's meant to be pretty chill. And it handles like an action RPG. It doesn't, again, it can be a little misleading because it looks like it should have, you know, like big cutscenes, but that wasn't my focus for Guardians and Metal Exterminators. I really wanted the vibe of the 80s, and in order to do that, you need to make sure that a game isn't overly stimulating in terms of the way that you tell the story. I'm putting Guardians and Metal Exterminators, or all my Silver Falls games, I'm putting them on sale. So if you wait until the 2nd of next month, it'll be 25% off. Nervous system is jacked up. It's not a good nervous system. I can definitely tell you that. He's gonna have issues growing up. You know what? Let's get a buff leg right here. Let's make this leg buff. Oops. Is it out yet? Yes. Guardians and Metal Exterminators is out, and it's available right now. And it's meant to be like, yeah, like I said, like, I think so many games, I made it to purposely be chill as a response to playing... Sorry. Sometimes there are games that I really like, and then I'll take a break from it for a couple months, and I'll come back to it, and I'll find that I can't play the game anymore, because the game, it expects you to have, like, to maintain your proficiency, and they're really demanding, and then there's just so much sort of stimulation in terms of the game mechanics and the visuals, and I wanted to make a game that people can play at their own pace, and if they don't play it for a few months, they can hop back in and enjoy it just as much playing it a few months later. And something that doesn't demand that you dedicate your time to playing the game. That's what I wanted with Guardians and Metal Exterminators. Also, do you create the games on your own? Yeah, I do absolutely everything. The music, the creature designs, the characters. I do use purchased assets when it comes to things like foliage, because that's outside of my area of expertise. I could teach myself to create foliage, but it would take months, and I need to focus my attention on the other stuff. So I use paid assets for things like foliage and rocks and things like that. I'll buy them from artists who specialize in making those things look good. Is it on Steam? Guardians and Metal Exterminators is not on Steam. It's only on Nintendo Switch. But people have been asking me to bring games to Steam. So I'm currently bringing my first game to Steam, Clash Your Ball. And then I'm considering bringing other games to Steam as well. It just depends on whether or not people actually like it, you know. It's one thing to be so proud of your game and to want it to do well. But I also understand that sometimes people just won't like something that you've made. Even if you've put all of your heart and soul into it and you think it's the greatest thing in the world, look, there's just a chance that people just aren't going to like it. So I need to be really careful with how I distribute my games because it costs money to distribute your games. So I just need to see if people actually like something I make, then I'll distribute it more. How do you spell your game name? It is like, I'll show you some of the character designs for that. So with my Silver Falls games, I implement a system called Code Linker. And what it does is that if you own one Silver Falls game, you can connect it to other Silver Falls games. I think there's like 13 or 14 in the series. A lot of them are free homebrew games, you know, so you don't have to go out and buy all the Silver Falls games. I like making games so that people can just play and not have to worry about, you know, spending a bunch of money on the whole series. A lot of the Silver Falls games are free, and you can connect those games. And what the Code Linker does is it allows playable characters to cross over from one Silver Falls game into another. And not only that, sometimes weapons and the monsters will cross over from one game into another as well. So for example, Silver Falls Undertakers takes place in the 70s, and I made it look like an Atari 2600 game. And if you connect that with games that take place in the modern day, the main character from Silver Falls Undertakers, who used to be a 14-year-old kid in the 70s, now he's this, you know, 55-year-old grizzled lumberjack, and you get to hang out with these characters at different points in their lives. And that's the whole point of my Silver Falls series, is you hanging out with the characters and spending time beating up weird cryptids. It's not a beat 'em up series, you know. It's not about, you know, like, oh, I gotta go and punch some boulders. It's really about just like hanging out with these people that are just kind of weird. Show them some of the cryptids. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll open up that, and then I'll show you Guardians and Metal Exterminators. I'll do that now, actually. Let's have a look. Yeah. Oh, this was fun. This is a Bulbasaur. If Bulbasaur was a Silver Falls monster, I just thought it'd be fun. Okay, so this is. Let's see here. Posing. Oh, I gotta open another project. Okay, let me see here. I'll show you some of the face takers here. I'll have to close this and then open up a different project, because if I open 2 instances of Unity, I think it's going to crash my computer. Okay. So these are, I'll turn the lighting off and you can see it better. These are some of the creatures that I've created. A number of these I made on live stream. Again, just hanging out with you guys. So these are ones that I use in my Silver Falls games. This guy he's big, he's chunky. Dang, I don't have Nintendo, only PC. Well, I'll bring more of my games to Steam and PC as well. And I do want to make like free versions of my games so that people can just enjoy them. Like everyone else, I know everyone has a limited budget for games, and it's tough when you want to play games and it's like you already spent your budget on games and there's stuff that you end up not getting to play. So I want to make versions of my games that people can at least enjoy in some way, at least, you know, a free version of it somehow. So that's something that I've been considering and working on lately. This guy's going to have a flesh sack. This guy here, it's going to be dangling. See that sort of thing that's dangling down? He's so tall. What a tall boy. Let me just lower that. He's gonna, when your character dies, he steals the face and then he dangles the face from the end of his dangler. This guy, when your character dies, and this game's not out yet, when he steals a character's face, you see his hands. He's got a bunch of different hands, so he'll hang onto the skin of the face of your character, and then he walks around with it. Don't shortchange yourself with all the free games, though, dude. Well, you know, for example, like I made Clash Your Ball, and I made the free version on Vita. And to me, it's worthwhile because the Vita's... Sony did the Vita injustice. Sony really failed on the Vita. And I wanted to make games for the Vita. And after I got my developer's license for Vita, they discontinued Unity for PS Vita. So I'm not so happy with the decision they did there. And so me making free Vita games that's my way of at least having contributed to the Vita. Let me go ahead and open up Guardians and Metal Exterminators. That's got some of my favorite creature designs. If you'll give me a moment, that'll take like a couple minutes for it to open. The 100 USD is returned after you sell 100 USD worth of the game. Put ads on the cryptids to pay for it. Why did you choose the Switch over a PC? I think you said it earlier, but I missed the reason. Part of that has to do with I really like Nintendo consoles. They're very cool, but also when you're making a game for a console, you know exactly what the controls are going to be, and you can cater your game specifically to those controls. When it comes to the PC, you don't really know what people's controller layout is, and it's kind of frustrating because that takes a huge amount of work to take into account all the different controllers they may potentially be using, all the different control schemes. You have to take into account that people want to customize their controls as well. It takes a significant amount of work, and you, as a developer, you should create a framework that handles, you know, stuff like that for you that you can bring over from game to game. And it's just time consuming. It's something that I haven't focused on with development time yet. Steven, are you happy with the one duck leg and the one whatever club foot, goat foot that is? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is optimize this. I'm going to reduce the poly count. We have 132,000 triangles right now. Let's go ahead and reduce that. And then we're going to rig this guy up. Or we're going to paint him and then rig him up. Okay, so let me very quickly... oh, I've got an appointment in a couple minutes. I was having so much fun hanging out with you guys. I didn't think I was going to spend this much time on it, but it's just been fun just hanging out. Okay, I'm just going to reduce the poly count here. Steven's right though. Your commercial projects are hugely impressive. Oh, thanks. I really appreciate that. But the sheer scope of all your free games isn't something to sneeze at. It's, look, I do them because I know how much it sucks when you want to buy a game and you just don't have it in your budget. And that's why I do the free games. It sucks. It really sucks. My beautiful boy is perfect. This should be Boston Silver Falls RPG. Well, this can end up in anyone's game. This is going to be free for everyone to use, so you guys can customize it however you want. I will include the animations, so you can put them in your game. Free to use. God, I hate these pelvic boobs. Oh, I hate it. Why did I put them there? Hey, Awali Comics. So the Huion stylus, what sort of nibs do you get for those? Can you customize those? Because on the Wacom, you can switch those over to a cloth tip that's softer and it slows down the movements. When I'm doing 2D art, I have to have the cloth tip on that. What are the Huion, what are those like? I'm going to have him show up in Dino Mutants as an NPC. This is going to be an Easter egg. Yeah, awesome. For some reason, my reduce brush is sort of the tool is ignoring me, and I don't know why. And I think I would have to close and open it, but I don't have time now because I have to get to an appointment. So let me just very quickly. All right. We're at 88,000, which isn't that bad, really. Okay, look, I'll have to optimize it more later, and then later on I will update. I'll post a video that has the final version. Okay, let's do 2048. Okay. Is this Croc an update to the game? Yeah, I'm making this as a free model, so if anyone out there is developing a game and they happen to need an enemy, they can use this one for free. I'm kind of thinking maybe once every other week or so we can hang out. I'll just make another enemy and then put it online for people to use for free. I'm not sure. I just used the ones that were given. Very happy with it. I didn't know you could get different tips. I didn't know anything about Huion. So if you have a look at that, they use a tool, but you can use your fingers. So if you pull that out, so the cloth ones, they're slower because they're soft, but they also wear out on the surface, but you can replace them very easily. Wacom comes with a couple. I bought a new pack for maybe $5 US. There's a pack of like a few. Gina say, oh, hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That's so cool of you. I'm just impressed. I am pressing on glass screen and it's scratching. Yeah, I feel the same when you're drawing on a tablet and it's not getting scratched. I think they have like a replaceable surface. I know the Wacoms, you can sort of replace them over time. They should use this Croc for remastered. He's our beautiful boy. Oh, they are actual cloth. Dang, that's insane. Yeah, it's really soft. So I switch these out. When I'm coloring, when I'm in the coloring stage, I swap them out for a different one. I'll put the plastic ones, because obviously, I mean, you know, when you're coloring, you want to move a bit faster. When I'm doing my line work and my draft lines, I'll use the cloth tip. Okay, I'm kind of hoping I've got a library here that I can open. Come on. Please tell me I've got a library. Oh, man. Oh, hold on. Add set. Oh, I have a library here. Yes! We're in business, folks. I'm pretty excited because I didn't think that I had a library on here. I normally have it on my other machine. Let's go ahead and give this guy a base layer of skin here. This is, you know what? I'm so passionate about art. You're probably going to see me just sort of light up every now and then with enthusiasm, because look, art is so important to me. I love art. I love considering it and thinking it. I love talking to people about art. I love sharing it. Do you want me to color this duck leg as a duck leg? Do you want that to be yellow? Well, look, I don't want it to be silly. Like, I want people to be able to use this. Maybe I won't color it yellow. Oh, thanks, Jose. I really appreciate that. Okay, well, I didn't realize the stream was... I thought I was going to work really fast, but when you're hanging out and having fun and chatting, you tend to get less work done, which is... that's more fun, is hanging out and chatting with people. I love the eyeballs in the nose thing, so... All right, in a couple hours, so I've got to get to an appointment. In a couple hours, I will post the model, and then you guys can download it and use it however you want. Is Silver Falls also part of the same... Is it? Hold on, the heart is in the way. I can't... Why do they put the heart there, right? I have a hard time reading the text. So Silver Falls, it's always in the same universe. It's always one continuous story, but each game you follow different characters in Silver Falls. So in one game you might be playing as you know, one guy, and then you meet other characters. Like there's the shopkeeper, you know, this guy sells you items. You know, this guy might upgrade your materials. This is someone that's just in the background, and all he does is have one line. But then in the next Silver Falls game, a character that was a throwaway NPC that you knew nothing about, suddenly that's the main character. And to me, Silver Falls is about telling an interesting story with a bunch of weird, interesting people. And that's something that I personally would love to see in games, is you kind of think, oh, this character is nobody. This is like a throwaway character. But in the next Silver Falls game, it turns out, oh, whoa, this person's really interesting. And they have their own whole story going on. And now they're the main playable character. So Silver Falls is that. It takes place in different decades. and you play as a bunch of different characters. And the whole point of the code linker system in Silver Falls is that it lets you take the characters that were separate and you connect the games together, and then it lets you bring characters from one game into another one. Then that's the joy of Silver Falls. Gus is always the main character in my heart. That's one of my favorite characters. Okay, I've got this open. Let me go ahead and bring this out. So let me open this scene, and I'll show you guys a couple of the characters that I've made. A couple of the monsters here. Where? Okay. Let's see. Posing. I don't know. I need to figure out where I've posed the monsters here. So it's very... I have to get to my appointment soon. Let me just very quickly just paint this guy a little bit more. We'll export him, and then we'll put him into the auto rigger, and we'll see him moving before I have to go. What I would do is something like this, right? I would use the red on the inside of the body. And then, just to make it clear that this is guts, you know what I mean? I tend to lose track of illustrating. It's fun, right? You just get in the zone, you sort of get lost in the sauce a little bit. I love streaming. The same thing happens to me. It becomes super fun interacting with the chat. I'll look up your channel. I'll subscribe to your channel. That's really cool. I'd love to hang out while you're doing your drawing. It's a continuous world, game by game. That's right, yeah. And there's some games that seem like they have nothing to do with the other games. They all stand on their own. But when you... I trust people will enjoy the story for their own reasons. And so I let people piece things together. And I've had people like just DM me out of nowhere sometimes, and they'll go, holy shit, I just realized how these two games are connected. I just realized how these characters are connected because they played another game. And I've planned out, there's around 50 Silver Falls games that have been totally written out and planned out. And so that's so that in the future, when I do make more Silver Falls games, I make sure that you can go back to even the very first Silver Falls game, and you can see, oh, this wasn't just tacked on, this was planned from the beginning. All of these games, all of these stories and characters are connected in some way. Is it possible to combine the game into one package for a PC platform? As a newbie to your worlds, it would be difficult to understand your world as it seems spread across too many platforms. That's a really good request. I mean, anything is possible if you believe in yourself, but that is... all of the games are different styles. See, they're not the same genre. They all handle so differently. So that'd be extremely difficult to do. But thanks for that request. It's certainly something I'll think about. Pokemon Silver is actually a Silver Falls game. So, for those who aren't familiar with the Silver Falls games yet, I want to share something with you. I spent 3 years setting up a gag joke so I could troll my Silver Falls supporters, the people that play and enjoy Silver Falls. So this last April Fool's game, I launched a game on the Nintendo DS, the original DS. And nobody believed me because I spent 3 years leading up to the joke. Gino's an Elkin Fencer know what I'm talking about. I kept joking that I was going to make a kissing simulator where you'll have two characters on the screens for the Nintendo DS, and when you close the screens, it makes the characters kiss. And we riffed on that joke for 3 years, and then this last April Fool's, I actually made it a real game that is canonical, and it exists in the actual story and lore of the games. And I was telling people about it, and nobody believed me. And I was trying to convince people to download the game and play it and open the link, and nobody believed me. And that's the kind of fun we have here. So you don't even know what kind of jokes I'm planning for upcoming April Fools, but you're gonna find out eventually. We gotta make his boobs like a different color so they stand out. This is so gross. That would make an interesting game, though. Imagine you somehow combine them all into a single game, and the unique experience is the core experience changes. It's never been done, I think. Well, that's basically the idea. Is I want players to have their own unique experience. Your player as your experience is based on the order in which you play the games. because there's going to be certain characters where you will think of them a certain way, and there's certain events that occur in Silver Falls that you'll think of in a certain way based on the order. So you'll have different biases towards, you know, different characters based on the order in which you play the game. You're going to like certain people and dislike other people based on the order that you play the games. And then your perspective might change. You might think, this guy's just a total jerk. Oh, I hate this guy. He sucks. And then you play a different game where you see that maybe the perspective through which that character was being portrayed was actually not the whole truth. And you end up realizing, oh, yikes, I misjudged that character and he was not who people were saying he was. That's the kind of storytelling that I enjoy, because it means that you get to explore it in your own way and you're not being forced to see things a certain way. And it leaves you free to interpret characters and events. And I think that's fun. That's a very satisfying way to experience a story. Okay. We need to... Okay, I actually do have to wrap up here because I have to get to an appointment. Let's just give a little bit of color to our boy here. We do have to color his eyeballs. I'll fine-tune and finish this, and then I'll go ahead and get it ready so you can download it. Gina say it's true. You're really gonna hate that blind little rat tick who betrayed my son, Bull. Yeah, sometimes you have to, as a writer, sometimes you have to throw characters under the bus for the purpose of storytelling, and you have to get a feeling across to the viewer. And sometimes characters get thrown under the bus, and that's just how it is. Okay, let me get his eyeball painted, and then we will stick him in the auto rigger. Silver Falls Order Roulette. Oh, do you think there's going to be like is that a gambling game? And if you guys want to try Silver Falls, there's a couple. Oh, so Awali Comics, I have a couple Silver Falls games that you can play for free on the PC via emulator. So people tell me they really like Galaxy Bound Curse. That is a Game Boy Color game. And if you set up a Game Boy Color emulator, you can play that on your PC. And if you need help, go to the Discord if you need help setting up an emulator. And the people that hang out in the Discord, they're really cool people. They'll help you set up an emulator if you want to try that one. And I'm working on more as well. So, Elkin Fencer says, strongly recommend Galaxy Bound Curse. They've been updating the engine that I used to make that, GB Studio. They've been updating it. Yeah, look at them eyeballs in the nose. Ooh. Oh, look, if you block the top part, he's got a little happy face. Oh no! He's got a little happy face if you pretend those eyes aren't there. Cover that with your hand, block that. He's got a little happy face. Oh my god, I love this boy. Okay. You are literally telling me to emulate your game. That's insane. Yeah, well, I made the game for the Game Boy Color, and you have to. Otherwise, you'd have to put it on a flash cart to play it. And the reason why I use the Game Boy, it's part of the storytelling of Galaxy Bound Curse, but that game is set in the late 90s, and that's why it is on the Game Boy. All right. Cool. I'm going to export this, and we're going to put it into the auto rigger and hope that it works. All right. Where am I going to put this guy? Okay, Monster 1. We're going to export him. And the texture map. Save the texture map. All right. Okay, so before we do that, I'm just going to quickly... I'll show you some of the characters and some of the monsters from Silver Falls. So this is Guardians and Metal Exterminators S for the Switch. So all the characters are here T-posing in worship of the vending machine. This is where you get your weapon upgrades, so you can buy skill drinks once a day for each character. You can buy a skill drink, and drinking a skill drink, it gives them a random skill, and then it refreshes at the end of the day. So the way that you play your character every day can actually change based on the random skill drink they get. You can upgrade your weapons, you can attach skills to your weapons, and you can buy temporary one-use weapons. So weapons that you can use for one mission, you can buy them from there. So you can get stuff pretty good from the vending machine. These are some of the characters in Silver Falls, and this is fun because I get to create different versions of these characters. This is set in the 80s, so these are the 80s versions of the characters, but you'll see versions of these characters that are in the modern day, the early 2000s, the 90s, and whatnot. So this is, let me show you this ugly shirt that I made. Oh, I'm so happy with this shirt. It is the ugliest shirt that I could possibly make. Have a look at this guy. This guy's name is Bran Steelhide. He is a rock star. So he's a famous musician. He's from Silver Falls. This is a little bit of a spoiler. He is going to be added to Guardians and Metal Exterminators in the future as a playable character, but that's in the future. But right now, he is there as an NPC, and he's part of the story and the character interactions. This is the ugliest shirt that I could have made. In the story, he got this famous European designer to make this shirt for him. Are you cool with me playing it on stream? Absolutely. I have no say over how people play my games. You can play them however you want. I'm not your mother, so I can't tell you what to do. It's your life, you know, and do what you want and enjoy things however you want. Who are some other designs I really like? Oh, you know what? I'm not sure if you've seen much of Iron Austin. Iron appears in some of the other games. I have a DS game, you know, the one where nobody believed me, that's a game where the characters kiss. Iron is one of the characters that appears in here. Here's his 80s version. I'm not sure if you get... at this point in the story, he had been drinking, so he's got a little bit of a red nose there. There's Iron Austin. We got Bull Branders. Let me show you some of the monster designs here. This guy I really like. This is called Mollusk. He's got this eyeball that you gotta shoot. The clamshell is bulletproof, so you have to work around the clamshell. He's got like seaweed danglers in the back. He's got tendrils and whatnot. I always give myself just a nightmare amount of work when I make characters with tendrils or tentacles. Tendrils are for plants. Tentacles. I brought this upon myself. Let me just try and grab one of these. Let me grab one of his bones here. Shell top is this. So if I rotate that, you should be able to see the parts move. Yeah, you can see that sort of muscle that holds it attached to his body. When he clamps down like that, obviously you can't shoot his eyeball. We need a moose game now. Hey, it's not out of the question. I absolutely can do that. Let's see here. For legal reasons, I assure that you can emulate Galaxy Bound Curse. It's not a licensed game. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Oh, where's my guy that I really like? I don't show this design a lot because it's spoilers, you know. This is from a Silver Falls game that I haven't announced, but I'm always working on a bunch of games in the background, and many things I don't tell people about. This is one of the creature designs that I don't think I've told people about. He flies. This guy flies. I'm so happy with the design, how this turned out. He's got like this cute turtle thing going on in the background. Yeah. Where's my... Where is he? Where is he? Just trying to find this guy, unless I've, like, made him... Yeah, here we go. There's my pal. This is one of my favorite designs that I've done. He's meant to be a culmination of the different metal exterminators. So the metal exterminators is a family of cryptids. They all have a particular unifying trait. This is one of my favorite designs. He's got spikes on the back. He's got a bifurcating organ. He's got a fleshy flower up top, as a good cryptid should have. Let me see if I can open up his animation controller here. And maybe I can just... Yeah, there's our friend. Ooh, this is one of my favorite designs. I really like this guy. Yeah. All right, you know what? Let's rig this guy up now. Okay. We're rigging it up. Close that up. Okay, Miximo. Okay, so there's our pal. Oh, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing the link to the homebrew stuff. Dude, the style looks like reminds me of PlayStation era. I love that sort of stuff. I try to evoke sort of again, my games are I really focus on the feeling, and so especially with my games, and it varies from game to game, but I try to get a feeling out of the player. So the particular style of the visuals, the characters, the clothing, you know, I always try to get a particular feeling out of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and upload the character. Okay, we go to 3D Sculpt. I'm looking for my folder that says 3D Sculpt, and for some reason, my brain is not seeing it here. It's in a subfolder, isn't it? All right, everyone. Let's all cross our fingers and hope that the auto rigger can understand what the heck this creature is supposed to be. So before we do that, let's just have a quick look. This is how our boy ended up. I'll come back later on, so I need to optimize the poly count. If you look in the corner, we're at 88,000 polygons right now. And this is fun. Like, this design came about because we've been hanging out here in the chat, and you guys can just contribute and say whatever you want, and we'll make it part of the sculpt. So this is a result of our live stream in our chat today. So you guys own this character. I need to come back. I'll optimize the poly count. I'll paint it for real properly, and then I'll put the download up for free so everyone can have access to this. And if you're making a game and you need an enemy, you can use this guy. Or if you're making a short film, you know, who cares, right? Pure solid state. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. So yeah, if you want, I can share more stuff of Guardians and Metal Exterminators as well. But if you want to listen to the soundtrack to Guardians and Metal Exterminators is something that I'm very proud of, because it was my first time setting out to create 80s music, and I wanted to make a soundtrack that would be something people actually just like listening to, even outside of the game. So you can listen to that for free on Bandcamp. Let me see if I can grab the link here. Actually, it might be in the... I'll just put it in the comment section to make it easy for you. Let's see. Neo Chapped. Hey, thanks. Very cool. Does this character have a lore or story? You get to come up with it. So this is the sculpt for the monster. Literally, we came up with it during the chat. You guys contributed to it. So this is free for use in your games. You can use it however you want. It's totally free. And look, we'll probably just do this long term. I think maybe once every other week we can do this, because it's just so much fun. I'll keep making monsters, and you guys can use them however you want. So this... Oh, it's off-center. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it will. I'll fix it later. I'll fix it later. Okay. We won't use symmetry. We'll have to turn symmetry off. Okay. But yeah, if you want to hear the music for Guardians and Metal Exterminators, I set out to create 80s rock to match the era of the story for Guardians and Metal Exterminators. Next time I can show you more as well. This is no... Oh no. The rigger's gonna not know what to do, I think. Let's say no fingers. Super Smash. Yeah, I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. If you guys want to hang out in the Discord with us, you know, Super Smash and Genoze, you know, the people there are good people. They're really fun, and then they often have something funny to say. So awesome, booked and downloaded Wally Comics. I'm so glad to hear from you. I'm gonna subscribe to your channel. I'd like to see your work. That sounds great. Snake Rock or Snake Rock will be a new beloved character. Hey, he's yours. You can use him however you want. Come on, Auto Rigger. Come on. Believe, everyone. Send him your energy, and maybe the Auto Rigger can handle it. I'll probably have to do some work. Often you'll have to do work after the Auto Rigger does the work, and then you can fine-tune it a bit. Come on. What's the verdict? Give us something good. Come on, Auto Rigger. I believe. I have faith in the Auto Rigger. Come on. Give us something good. Give us something good. I am holding my breath. Pressure. Yes! Yes! You guys, check it out. Our boy, our beautiful boy. Behold him. Oh, man. Look at our friend. This is our friend. This is all thanks to you guys hanging out, chucking your ideas in there. This is great. So, I'll fine-tune this in a couple hours. I'll put this character up, and he's yours. You can go to Mixamo. You can get any animations you want for him. So, I'll do this maybe once every 2 weeks. We can hang out, chat, and we can make a new character. That's cool. Pretty rad, right? All right, let's just, before I go, we'll have him do a couple different animations. So what do you guys think of that? Are you pretty happy with that? Well done. All right, I'll wrap things up pretty soon, but I just want to thank you guys so much for hanging out on the stream. Again, I'm a full-time game developer, so the vast majority of my time I spend sitting alone at my desk. And it kind of sucks sitting alone. So getting to hang out with you guys and just talk is really, really cool. It really helps me get through the workday. Looks so much better animated. So yeah, this is so cool. This is fun. I'm so glad it turned out. The Auto Rigger can handle it. Okay, so keep an eye out. If you have to go to bed because of where you are in terms of your time zone, then yeah, it'll be up tomorrow. So I'm so appreciative to you guys for hanging out. And if you're a new subscriber, thank you so much. This has been so much fun just getting to hear from so many people. So, all right, I'll wrap things up. Thanks everyone for being so cool, for hanging out. It's been so much fun. And keep an eye out. I'll be posting the finished version. I'll be posting the finished version pretty soon. Take care, everyone. It's been a pleasure. See you, everyone. Take care. Good job on those nose eyeballs, Alcor. This is going to be in the Sungrand lore permanently. Our nose eyeballs. Look, oh man, if you block the top part, he looks like a happy little guy. That's cracking me up. Well done. See you, everyone. Take care. Thanks again.